guys. Hi. Yeah, we're live. We're back with the Star Wars Roundtable, and we're doing episode 5 of the Roundtable, but episode 2 of the original trilogy.
So the second movie in the actual chronological order.
The fourth movie.
Heather nailed it.
If you're lost, don't worry.
So yeah, it's just it's gonna be one of those nights trying to explain this as we go along and getting our thoughts in.
So I'm gonna preface this with this, and we just laughed about it hysterically for 10 minutes. When basement had to work, and he's like, "I'm an hour away from finishing this movie." Yep. I looked at the clock and I said, and the point that I fucking tweeted in the chat, I said, basement should be at the point
the movie
where Darth Vader says the most iconic sentence in fucking Star Wars
that people
lore.
always get wrong.
Yeah.
You almost said 2 words.
Right? What you know what I fucking mean.
Yes.
Connor, don't be a dumbass. So
you're not getting my notes then.
So and basement says is exactly where I'm at.
It was fucking uncanny. I said I was halfway through the movie, and he's like, "Well, if he says he's halfway through the movie, he should be coming up on this scene." It was literally playing out on the screen in front of me, and I'm like, "This motherfucker knows this movie better than he knows his own life."
It's
like
really dangerously close to like 2 hours even too. So it was like spot on.
2 hours. I think it's 2 hours and 8 minutes is the movie.
Where are you, Mo?
It's like if you're including the credits, then yes.
I don't include them. Yeah. I don't include them.
So
it's been a long time since we did the Star Wars thing, right?
Yeah,
the last one, fucking 6 months ago.
Months.
It was A New Hope.
It's been a day or two.
So just one thing I wanted to mention as far as my portion that I'm going to be contributing here, and as a reminder. So I have only seen the main 9 movies. I have watched Boba Fett and Mandalorian.
Okay.
But I haven't really watched all the other side stuff.
Okay.
So my lore of Star Wars stuff is limited to like basic mainstream, which might come into play later on. I did watch this movie when I was a kid growing up, when they had the re-releases of these in like the 90s.
Right. Yeah.
They added a couple scenes and effects and stuff. And so I remember this very fondly because I would watch these obsessively. But watching back at this again so many years later, this movie still holds up. This movie is this is still it is up there with the creme de la creme, and rightfully so.
It is also remastered, right? So
So this version that is on
remastered.
Disney Plus is remastered. Yes.
Yep. Because I recognize the scenes that I there were specific scenes like whatever the thing is called, the Yeti.
Just call it the Yeti. It's fine.
I want to call it the Yeti.
Yeah.
It's like backgrounds of like the Cloud City, more clear scenes and stuff like that.
Honestly, most of the remaster stuff in this doesn't take me. It actually helps the movie.
Hold on. The Yeti is not remastered.
No, the Yeti's not remastered.
No.
No, the
I think when
Tauntaun.
you look at like
the Tauntaun when Han's riding on it.
The
there's certain
car
things.
shot.
So the car shot? No,
yes.
that was in the movie. That was in
all
the
of the most of the
It's been
space
touched up
stuff
to make it look more clear.
But
That's
like
what
the,
digitally remastering is.
What are they called? I can't remember the name of them. The type of planes that they fly on Hoth. I know their name because I remember from the game. The type of space, the plane version of spacecrafts they fly on Hoth with the tow cable.
I have no idea.
Hold on.
Yeah, how do you not know the type of aircraft that takes down the fucking
T-47?
Those
The T-47 airspeeder.
Those were in the original.
I know, but like they
look
those
more
are
crisp.
digitally replaced.
Yeah,
they're digitally replaced.
Okay, so just to preface this, George Lucas redid everything.
Yeah.
Like when all the scenes where the people aren't in the fucking craft, those are all digitally
I think
remastered.
they're called H-wings or something. There's a name for them because it was in the game.
T-47 Speedlander.
Yeah, there's no H-wing or anything
They
like that.
called them something else, man. I'm telling you.
I think I might have mentioned this the last time we did this with A New Hope. When they remastered them in 97, it was actually a very smart move because it got another wave of generation of new fans to get in there without having to really break the budget.
Right.
And it remastered everything, so it made it look even that much better. And I'll be damned if a lot of stuff still doesn't hold up in terms of the effects and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell it's dated, but it doesn't look fucking
For
horrendous.
everybody,
No.
for the name of the monster on Hoth that Luke runs into is called a Wampa.
That's it. Yeah.
Wampa fruit.
Okay, Wampa Wampa. But yeah, good stuff.
Yep.
The only thing I'll say before we start going through the actual movie, and this is something that I think very few movies do, which I don't think is that difficult to accomplish. But again, I don't make movies.
What,
so I
good
don't know.
storytelling?
No, the way, like, when you learned how to write an essay in high school,
Yeah.
and it was like, this is the method. There is a method to how you present a story.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I only have a small category of movies that this fit into, and Jurassic Park is one of them, and this is another. And I'm sure if I thought about it for a longer period of time, I could come up with more. It's probably one of the Marvel movies, or if not a couple of them, kind of fit into it. But the fact that when they present this movie, like they start off on a new planet in the movie series with questions already arising. What's happening? What's going on?
Yeah.
Then you immediately get into a space battle. That's action immediately. People are like, oh, fuck, this is amazing. Action. And then you go to the next part of the movie, which they progress the characters and the character arcs that they want to accomplish. You then get the character payoff, and they do an incredible job after that of building up to the next movie.
I
think Civil War was the one you're thinking of.
There's Civil War. There's also one that's not as recognized as doing that, but it's exactly what they did. And it was Space Invaders.
Space Invaders?
Yes. Group of Martians accidentally land on Earth because their ship needs repairs. And they create this outburst in this tiny little, I think it's a Midwest town. And this little girl and her friend help them. And her dad's like the chief of police.
I have no fucking
Of
idea.
that
what-
time?
I don't think I've ever seen this movie.
Oh my god. This is a movie we need to watch. It was made
What is this?
in 1990.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
I'm just saying, when movies hit these specific points, and it's so concise in how it tells its story, like there is a level of perfection in that I think this movie is probably the best example of.
Yeah.
It might be the best example because of it being I'm not also talking about like in itself being the middle of a franchise.
Yeah.
At this point, right? It's the middle, which is usually the
Essentially,
hardest
yes.
thing to do.
To what they became, yes.
It's
shared
very
the
difficult
picture
to have the middle
movie
of your
poster for
story.
Space Invaders in the Horny Goat creators room.
We'll have to watch it. I'm going to say the middle of this. It's very difficult to make the middle of your story the best part of your story.
Not only the best part, but the part that also actually truly progresses the story.
Yeah.
This is why what George Lucas did was genius.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could... This movie here, it was the second movie made. And this is a catalyst for why they made the first three.
Uh-huh.
See, I actually have a couple of notes about
In
that.
the first three, the third is the best.
I'm what I mean by the first three is 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And is a catalyst for, honestly, 7, 8, 9.
7, 8, 9, 7 is the best. So it's weird that each
well,
fucking
it's
three.
not. It's. I'm just saying. I'm just talking about
one.
this specific movie. This movie is the catalyst for why they did what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes down to it, it's a difficult feat to accomplish. But anything that'll go down as people really loving for a long period of time will probably have at least the second or the third iteration be its best thing. That's where Jurassic Park fails, because the first movie
Right.
was the best. Everything after that, just slow decline into hell.
Yeah.
So
But
I got
you
a
look
couple.
at even Game of Thrones, the middle of Game of Thrones was probably better than the beginning or the end.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I may have thrown together some other notes about behind the scenes stuff about the movie, just as a little fun FYI stuff. Now, what's interesting is that Lucas wasn't really big on continuing, like he was kind of like 50-50 on whether or not that things were going to proceed forward. Like after he wasn't sure how Star Wars was going to be proceeded.
Correct.
And so when it worked, he's like, oh, he even had like a plan to do like a small sequel, like a small short, like with a different person, just in case like Star Wars like tanked for whatever reason. But Lucas had someone else write the original screenplay, and then once that person passed away, he went back and kind of, he didn't do like a totally new version of the screenplay, but he made some rather I won't say seismic changes, but enough like
noticeable changes,
yeah, not like anything hugely crucial, but just changes that were enough. Kept things like, you know, Luke having a mysterious sibling, the introduction of the Emperor.
Well,
I'm just in terms of alterations. And apparently Boba Fett was also combined with this idea of like a super stormtrooper that was being played around for the original screenplay, which is why he kind
that fucking
Captain Phantasma,
what's her face?
wasn't it?
Yeah, there you go.
Captain
Phantasma.
Yeah.
Phantasma.
Bless you. He also didn't know how to end this movie in a satisfying way, which is why he chose it.
He shouldn't have. Well, okay, so he shouldn't have ended it in a satisfying way.
Which is why he wrote it the way he did. He's like, all right, I'm going to leave it wide open for a sequel.
Yes.
But I'm trying to think of the other ones here. Apparently, there was in the original draft, there was even like a scene of like Luke like slaughtering a bunch of stormtroopers, and like, we don't want him to be like that yet. So they're like,
so
like stuff like that.
And then you'll run into if they would have done that, then you would have run into the problem of why is Rey so strong? Well, you can't bitch about it because Luke was as strong. This is why I don't know why people complain about Rey. I understand why they fucking do, but I don't. Luke Skywalker and Rey are parallel in their storytelling, which is why people were mad because they didn't want that. And I understand what they wanted, but they were never going to fucking get it because they wanted to step away from the expanded universe. That's why they did what they did. They tried really hard to write their own story, and it miserably fucking failed.
I think people wouldn't have been so pissed off with Rey as a character if the rest of the movies
didn't really
aspects of the
well,
movie
it's where they went with the story. It's where they went with her character.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Wait till we get there, then. Let's wait till we get there.
Yeah, we'll wait till we get there because we will watch those. And
but,
my God,
but if you look at her, Luke was pretty much the same. So
Cool,
when people complain about that, that's where I get like, Luke is the same way. So what's the difference? Where's the difference? Why are we complaining about one and not the other?
This is all I'm going to say about it. The problem is the sequels, the last three, don't have a Han Solo character.
No, they don't.
It's so badly needed because he is the leading man for the most part, where Luke is like the hero. But he is the leading man.
Yeah.
He's the everyman that you have to get.
He's
your driving force as you watching it.
So,
back to the movie.
Back to the movie.
Let's get
the
opening, the start to it.
Yep.
Do you have?
I can pull it up.
Because I'm one of those people. Sometimes my brain just. You remind me of something, and I'll talk it.
I got some talking points real quick. Actually, first big talking point for me, and this is again mentioning how I watched this originally as a kid and haven't watched it in a long time. Something that I never occurred to me is just as a reference point, the time between this and the Death Star explosion was never mentioned, as far as I could tell. So I had to dig a little bit, and basically.
This is where I'm gonna say this before we move on. I honestly think they need to do a series and like they did the Clone Wars.
Oh, so like an
Where they
animated
have
series
like
of the
4
time frame between or
seasons
something?
of something in
As well.
between
Yeah.
A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
They could.
They need
so I had to
to.
look up-
They want us to tie everything together, but what do we have to tie
I
together
personally
in
don't
between?
need it.
I do.
I don't even
Oh,
need to know
I
what
do.
the time frame is.
I
Really, but
personally
what
do.
is it?
What?
What's the time frame between the last movie and this movie?
If I remember right, I
3
think
years.
it's like
It's
like
3 years.
3 years maybe.
3 years.
Okay, so 3 years
Yeah.
between it. I personally like going from the last movie to this movie. For me, it doesn't really matter. I don't see a huge change in characters except for a little
No.
bit of
No.
exposition
It's just-
in
it's something
relation.
But there is okay. So in the crawl, the opening crawl, it says even though they destroyed the Death Star, what was that one thing that swung where the Empire was still in control? What swung
numbers?
No, well,
They
no,
were
okay,
still,
yeah,
like,
well,
fucking huge
numbers,
army.
okay, but I'm talking about what happened in between there.
There is a story there, and I think the thing I would like to see more of that story than anything is the progression in relationships between the big three that we have, because there is like all of a sudden like Han Solo and Luke Skywalker are like super friends,
Yeah.
and Han Solo is a bit sexually aggressive.
Oh, yeah, notes about that.
But like that's where it's a bit jarring because you don't have that continuation for it to make sense.
Yeah.
I didn't really find anything happening with the Empire to be that jarring because the characters are essentially the same from the Empire side as they were in the last movie.
Right. Well, yeah. Yeah.
All right, what's your other point? Did you have more points? Give them to me.
Let's see. My notes here. I just said so. Explain the credits. That Luke is on his own with Rebels at Hoth. I just put in big bold. Why did they pick such a damn cold planet? Is it easier to hide? Vader is a tad obsessed with Skywalker for obvious reasons.
So, but he doesn't know why he's obsessed with him. That's the thing. That's the story that they're trying to
feel
tell.
the Force in him.
Right.
He knows, and he made mention of it in A New Hope when he said the Force is strong with this one.
Right.
He knows he is Force sensitive. So him becoming Force sensitive, and this is where
yeah, so I said obvious reasons.
So I'm trying to like the Force Unleashed game would have been really good because it would have told the story as to why Darth Vader wanted to. Darth Vader really wants to destroy the Emperor. He wants to take over. He is so power hungry that he wants to become.
I have a bit on that a little bit later on for sure. By the way, Basement, real quick to the whole thing about like the timetable in between and the 3 years. To your point, it doesn't really. You're right. It doesn't really affect anything. However, and this is again the like. Remember how I viewed it when I watched it as a kid versus now. There's a part of the movie that actually really messed with my head timeline wise, where something happened longer than I thought it did. And I'll get to that in a second. So that kind of
to answer your question about why they chose Hoth, I think it's like the obvious answer is, without it making if you go to the technical side, maybe it doesn't make a huge amount of sense. Is they chose a planet that is basically inhospitable, so nobody would think about going there.
I'm going to stop you both because they didn't choose it; they were forced to go there because of Darth Vader chasing them. That was their
hyperspeed.
What?
But they got hyperspeed.
So do
I can't wait to talk about that later. Holy shit!
I don't know. I have no problem with the hyperspeed thing. So my notes, at least from the beginning, is he's on his tauntaun walking through the snow, right? And out of nowhere, literally, this fucking Yeti comes out, kills the tauntaun, and fucks him up. My only question is, why did it just leave the tauntaun and capture Luke?
It didn't.
It took the Tauntaun too afterwards because that's what he's
That's
eating.
what
Oh, did it come back for the Tauntaun?
So when Luke wakes up, he may have.
When Luke wakes up, his mouth is bloody, but it doesn't show what he's eating. At least
he was eating the Tauntaun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he was eating. He was eating the Tauntaun.
So the next question is, how and why did he freeze his feet upside down?
I had that all fucking. Fucking. Hold on.
Does he control weather?
Hold on. I've been waiting. I'm so happy. So first off, I went, how the fuck did Luke not see the Yeti thing coming?
He's all white. It's snowy as fuck.
But he's not though. Anyway.
And he can sense things. He's got the Force. I don't know. Whatever.
But he's not okay. So here's the thing about being Force sensitive. Unless you're looking for blind. It, you're not going to sense it.
Makes sense. So with Luke in the cave, I said the creature. I said two things. One, I remember that they added seeing the creature eating the Tauntaun and then attacking a Luke in the '97 version. So that the update they did, like I mentioned before, him eating the Tauntaun was, I think, one of the scenes like a little bit more enhanced, or they actually had like a more like actual practical costume made, whereas before you couldn't really see the Yeti creature. And my second one,
oh my God.
How did the creature get Luke's feet frozen in ice upside down? How long was he there for? That means at some point the creature had to hold Luke waiting for
for like hours in upside down water. It's a funny nitpick.
You guys are reading way too much into it.
I know. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't hurt the movie at all, it's like.
But I said after that, love how Luke uses the Force to get to the saber to show how he still his powers.
If you paid attention to that, that was something that was. Because when I was watching it, I'm like, why doesn't he just use the Force? Why doesn't he just use the Force? Oh, he's not thinking about it because he's still learning, so he doesn't know everything yet. But once he does that, again, I say, can you see the parallels between him and Rey? This is why people need to shut the fuck up about Rey being as powerful as she is.
By the way, in between the attack and Luke kind of waking up upside down, there was a scene with like Han and Leia, like kind of making poking fun at each other. And I actually have a note here. I said, "Wow, it almost makes me think that this is how JP and Heather first met."
So
kind of
no. So the thing with Leia is she's strong-willed, so she doesn't want to show a weakness.
She's stubborn.
She is.
She's very stubborn. Yes.
I also
really.
I forgot how much I love the dynamic of Solo and Chewie, where only Han can translate to the audience what Chewie is saying. I forgot how much I love that dynamic.
I love that they're not spitting. They're not like spitting in your face with it because he's not directly answering. It's like, yeah, I know. We'll get this done.
Well, they don't disrespect their audience, and this works for a bunch of things in Star Wars, where they have Chewbacca not speaking a language anyone can understand, R2-D2, the fucking multiple scenes with R2-D2 and Luke, where it's like, man, I'm like thinking, like, man, just imagine acting this scene.
Yeah,
you at a trash can making no fucking sounds.
There is a thing. So if you have not seen it, you need to go watch.
Spoilers.
Beyond the Stars, was it?
Well, he might just be talking to the little midget inside the box, but
no.
I know for Chewbacca.
So there were no words spoken. They do talk about how the scenes that they would do with them, where he would do the beep boop beep boop boop, boop, and that's exactly what he would do, and then Luke would respond with whatever.
And for Han,
they know where this
with Chewbacca, they would have the actor in the suit say the line in English, and then they would dub the sound over what he was saying, so that Han would remember the lines he needed to remember.
That's one thing I will say about this movie, and like there is a point in this movie where I like just Chewbacca, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
I have that.
It's like it became a bit too much. Yeah, just a little bit too much of the Chewbacca sounds.
Well, Chewbacca actually became for when you say big three, I really call them the big four, personally.
I wouldn't include Chewbacca in that because he's nonverbal.
I honestly would. because to me, Chewbacca is
Han Solo's Robin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's the way I always saw him.
Chewbacca to me was I considered him part of that group because he was always there.
Then you have to. Then
R2-D2 if you want me to be completely honest with you, he was a constant.
So is R2-D2.
Chewbacca reminded me of a hairy version of okay, boss. Oh my God. Like that kind of character. No, I'm not kidding. That's
the reason I'm not saying he's the big three because all of his story beats rely on someone else's decision.
Yeah, yes, but if it's not for him, some of them wouldn't survive.
Yeah, no, he's an integral character, but he's not one of the leads of the movie.
Also,
I beg to differ.
While Han goes looking for Luke, I also forgot the wonderful line of "Then I'll see you in hell." Yeah.
You won't make it past the first marker. I don't give a shit how many animals die on this trek.
I'll see you in hell. Yeah.
Peter would be so upset with the
when
fucking
Han
rebellion.
Solo was leaving.
Yeah.
I got one question for you guys. Like he finds Luke on the ground, right after he had his visions, and I got this. Like my mind was all fucked up because for some reason I thought Luke put himself in the fucking tauntaun.
Mm-hmm.
I had some moment.
That was the Mandela effect. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my mind went to like, okay, so how did Han Solo survive the night?
He said he had a portable
camp.
He put up a camp.
Yeah, he mentioned.
Did you not hear him?
He mentioned.
He mentioned it.
I was watching this in like fucking tidbits,
while I
man.
set up
TikTok
base.
style.
Did you not listen to anything?
I was watching this in TikTok fucking increments. He might have said it, and I rewatched. I started the scene again, fucking 10 minutes later.
So there was when he opens up the tauntaun, and then he says, "God, these stink," and then he tells Luke, "It's gonna keep you warm while I set up camp," and that's
base, yeah.
When they do an overshot of him, like when they're actually picking him up, you can see that there's some other equipment.
You see something like he sticks something in the earth, and I thought that was like a tracker or something.
That was, but then there's also he had. So there's how their technology.
There's consistency with.
Yeah, it's good. It's just that's like it's a lot happens. I'm like, oh, wait, how the world?
Honestly, sometimes that's the one thing I wanted to praise about this movie is they get every bit of screen time is just used right.
Yeah,
like, they don't fuck around with time on screen to like not.
Use it for that's actually on my notes too. Is the pacing is very welcome.
It's not a short movie, but it doesn't feel long, which that's how you know.
It keeps you entertained and focused enough.
The first three movies are especially that good for that.
Yeah,
very quickly paced.
I have here C-3PO sucks.
Come on now.
He says how R2-D2 is computing showing a chance of survival, and then he's like, "Oh, but he's been wrong from time to time." Like, shut the fuck up! Oh my god!
But that's C-3PO throughout the whole fucking thing.
He is
he's a pompous asshole.
Well, he's not a pompous asshole. He's an annoying.
He's like the anxious fucking worrywart.
God, I'm so scared.
Yeah, he's the scared Jewish robot.
I said Luke should absolutely be dead in the cold. Do we really think that Luke was talking to Obi-Wan or was he hallucinating? I said, how the fuck did the Tauntaun die? Aren't they designed for this weather?
Remember, they said he was like, no. It's like the animal will die once you get to a certain point. He just died, but he had a dramatic death. The cold killed him, right? And he was just like, and he slowly falls over. I'm like, great, but he died of the cold. The thing that got me is when they closed the doors, and it's like they had to decide that those guys are not going to see tonight. And then Chewbacca, it was like, oh my god, he looked like a hairband metal band.
That's the trailer footage right there. You know what I mean? Like that's the trailer shot. Of course, I thought they smelled bad on the outside. And then
outside of Vader and Han Solo are the two front runners for having the best one-liners.
Oh god, yes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Vader beats him because it's Vader.
But yeah.
Come on. All right.
So they find Luke. and they nurse him back to health.
Yes, they do.
Isn't it
But
back
then
to-
they find out that they have these
The drones.
not droids that find
Droid.
where their base is. They have to get out of there. Luke is healthy again. I'm sure some time had lapsed for that because you just don't recover.
Yeah, but this movie, honestly, I had no problem with time.
No. So
Nope.
they do the whole Luke heals, he's back to healthy. They're now getting ready to
Fight off an incoming incursion.
fight off the incoming incursion, and this is where
I have a quick question. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm being actually genuine about this. I have a legit question about Luke's healing scene. When he's in the tube,
The
right?
back to tank.
Yeah.
and then he just like shoots up.
That's how he gets out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was like, what?
Where's he going?
I'm like-
They're
I was
sending
like-
a message to the second floor.
I'm like, what? I'm like genuinely going like, what happened? I'm like, is he done? Is it like, all right, time to like rinse cycle? Like, I honestly had no idea.
It's
what
like a
was
giant
happening.
fish tank. You swim in
Yeah.
and then you swim out.
so
God,
he
confusing as fuck.
I think that's how it just. That,
No,
that's
I'm not.
in
I'm
my
not
mind how he
trying to be
how he
funny.
got
I'm being
edited
serious.
there.
What is going on here? There's a scene where when they cut over to Vader.
Oh my god! Yes.
In his.
I think you're going where I'm going.
Wait.
Are you talking about his little orb or whatever that he sits in?
Yeah, the giant egg he's in.
His little giant egg where he sits crisscross
Yeah.
applesauce.
I'm getting there. Hold on. Holy shit. So first off, Vader has like a super Star Destroyer, which fucking looks badass. I
Fucking
forgot.
All the ships look fucking.
So the Star Destroyers are awesome by on those side. The Super Star Destroyer is like a fucking it's like Mark McGuire like steroids size fucking one. But it's I loved also the great visual of it, like it overshadows the other Star Destroyers, that's its grand entrance. Like holy shit, here goes this massive thing. But my bigger question, Dad, on that nitpick, where the fuck's the shadows coming from?
Maybe there's a sun close by.
I was gonna say.
There's a couple problems
I-
with how space works in this movie.
Yeah, I know.
Forgive them.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
fucking 1980 something.
Exactly.
I'm just being an asshole. So there's a scene where basically the droids find what I later find out is the generators for their base.
Yeah.
And that conversation with like the two guys and Vader was kind of weird. Where Vader like literally comes and goes, "They're there at Hoth." And it's like, okay.
It's because he can sense him.
But that's the thing. He doesn't give the guys any fucking context. He's like, the rebels are at that system. It's like,
well, fuck
Vader.
them. They're underlings. He's like a fucking god compared to them.
Exactly.
no, but like,
It's
what,
like,
remember the
either
guys like
listen
Vader?
to me or die. And the guy didn't listen.
He's like, but it was just weird. It was like, it's like he never actually just says that they're like the rebels are there, but just doesn't give his men any context. Because we get it, but his men are like kind of like left in the dark. It's a weird convo, but like props to the guy who's like, oh, I found this. Like, oh, it's nothing. It's like, no, they're fucking there, you asshole. But it was just weird how like, I don't know, it was just an awkward conversation.
The one thing I find, and it happens especially in the sequels, is like when you withhold the withholding of information is never really a smart writing decision.
No, it's
because
not.
the
So
military
what was he
would
talking
not
about
do
before?
Right.
that if they're asking you to accomplish a task. Like to this extent, it's not so bad. The sequel's way worse. What happens in there? But like
Oh, yeah, I
for
know.
this one, I can understand. Like he doesn't need. He's the commanding officer, man. Go there and do this. Fuck off.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, why
That's
would
it. You
challenge
follow
it?
orders.
Like,
That's it.
okay.
So going back to Connor shitting on Vader knowing everything. So
didn't say that.
we
No,
have
not that.
we have to remember Grand Moff Tarkin is now dead.
Mm-hmm.
No, I understand that. And
So
I'm not
if you
saying-
want to
I'm-
know what the rank and file is in Star Wars Episode 4, it was the Emperor, Grand Moff Tarkin,
and then
then Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Because if
Right.
you remember in Episode 4, when Tarkin, remember he had the chokehold onto that one admiral, and Tarkin said, "Let him go."
Yep. Well,
Vader immediately released it. My problem wasn't now Vader is second in command. Everybody has to listen to what he fucking said. I'll tell you, and this is very good as far as military stuff goes, because people are going to be like, if my second in command, if my commander says we're doing this, as long as it's not an unlawful order, we're doing it. You can't tell him, sir, this isn't a good idea. We're gonna fucking freeze our nuts off. Just do what he fucking says. But anyway.
I was about to say that's the part. It wasn't that Vader knew. I understand why Vader would know. Mm-hmm. It's just that he didn't give his men of saying like we're going there. It's like, why?
Doesn't have to fucking tell him shit. Just do what I say.
It was awkward for me then in terms of just like that just felt a little off-putting. I'm not saying
the way I looked at it was Vader knew, and their officers underneath him, so they just fucking just shut up and go. And that's why that guy eventually fucks up.
And that's really how it works. The commander says something, you just fucking do it. Don't argue. That's why a bunch of people get choked out in this movie, because they don't fucking listen to what he says.
Sorry, I just looked at my next note here about how he chokes out an admiral.
Oh, right. That was to an extent that was kind of comedic. I don't think it was meant to be, but when I was watching it, it's just the acting of the guy getting choked out in the back, and the other guy being like.
It's also the frequency of it and how.
But that's probably the line where he should have said, "Don't choke on your aspirations, Admiral."
Well, I just wrote here. I love how Vader chokes out an admiral for his idiocy of coming out of hyperspace so quickly, and he drops dead on the call, and then promotes the other guy to admiral, and no one bats a fucking eye.
The best part was the guy that he promotes the entire movie. I'm like. Man, if I was this guy, I am fucking out of there as quick as possible because I know I'm gonna fuck up, and I see what happens.
I put updated LinkedIn profile.
I am the first fucking abandoning this shit immediately.
But there's the way they did it was really Hitler-like.
Yeah, it was effective.
Well, that's it. Like throughout Star Wars, they really make that comparison because it's the only real world comparison that you can really go on that the modern age will understand.
Exactly.
One thing I wrote down. One thing I wrote down. This goes back to the battle on Hoth because that's kind of where we are, right? We go back and those the walkers, the big elephant guys. They're coming in.
So the AT-ATs.
The AT-ATs, and you have it should always be AT-AT. I don't care what you say.
The what?
But they should be AT-ATs, not AT-ATs. I don't like.
I hear you.
But it is what it is. So Luke is flying towards them in his T-47 airspeeder.
Yep,
I think they're called now. He has a guy in his back that's like, I feel like I could take on the universe. I'm like, hey, this man is fucking dead. Is it also your retirement? And his name was Dak. At first, he's like, I know what you're saying, Dad. I'm like, what the fuck? Anyways, they get up, he dies immediately, which is great. So Dak fucking is the worst character in this movie.
So I have here about remember when like the first transport gets by? They're firing like a cannon at the Star Destroyer. First off, fucking ballsy move to just charge at them and hope that the cannon can like work and they can actually go. Like just absolutely like fucking incredible. And I also love how like they shoot down the Star Destroyer and the convoy just like briskly just floats by, like just la 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 la, like it was gingerly like just strolling by. It was the way it looked very funny to me. And then they're announcing it to the base like the first transport is away, the first transport, and they're all like, yeah. I'm like, why the fuck are you cheering? You're all gonna die.
You wanna know why they were like yay? Because they didn't think they were gonna get one past them.
Yeah, the rebellion survives.
Asshole. I'm just being an asshole.
I mean, what do you think of the tripping of the AT-ATs?
So I just said here, 2 shots to the neck is all it takes.
I think my interpretation is once it comes down, it's like defenses. Like, they didn't really tell a good story of this because they're like that armor is too powerful. So in like a lot of the Star Wars games, there is like armor up. It's like fucking armor upon armor, and like when you take them down, they become vulnerable. But it doesn't translate to film, so I don't know if like it exposed a weak point when he fell down. I'm
It
assuming
should come across as more menacing than it does.
they seem kind of clunky and pretty stupid.
Like
visually, they're iconic, but
yeah, but
they make no fucking sense otherwise.
yeah, I get where you're coming at, and I'm right there with you. Where it's like, I wish they were more boding and more like more ominously threatening, and it's tough when you like tie their shoelaces together and let's see them trip, and up there we go.
So I will say one thing, and I don't want to forget it because I know I don't want to talk about the sequels too much. But JP, you did mention I don't want to see anybody comparing or complaining about fucking Rey and Luke Skywalker. The very beginning of this movie, Luke Skywalker would have died if Han Solo didn't save him.
Correct.
Yep.
Right?
Correct.
I don't think that happens in any of the movies except maybe the last of the sequels.
No.
Because
In
she
the
saves
first one-
herself.
In the first one, Flint saves her, actually.
From what?
From Ben.
That's at the final fight when she's already winning.
Yeah.
Isn't she?
But he still saves it's still because of Finn that she's saved.
I need to rewatch. I'm dreading those movies more than anything. But
It's gonna be
we'll
fun.
see.
My-
So
my-
yeah,
my-
they start
my-
off with showing.
I
Sorry,
think
go
my point is there is parallels to their stories, and
There
they're
is, yes, 100%.
where they are in their training. I will kind of agree with you on that point. However, still, I'm going to say, come on, there's parallels there.
It's not as egregious as people make it.
Yeah, it's not happening.
But there's so many other things wrong with those films that is the one of the lower end of things people should
That's the
complain
least
about.
they gotta worry about.
I actually liked Rey as a character in the first one. I just didn't like the second. The second movie killed everything for me. Anyways, so back to this movie.
Mhm.
Luke,
Yeah,
Luke having the balls to just go up there and throw a grenade. But
That
also
was cool. They gave him that hero moment after they had him be saved by Han Solo, so you kind of get the vibe that both leads
Both
now
have
are
matured,
capable.
yeah.
Yeah.
I also said I gotta say, and this is true. Visually, I love snow fights with like the blood in the background, the explosions and stuff like that. A visual aspect. It's
You
very.
don't get too much of that in this movie, though. You don't
You
get
don't get blood in this movie, and I think that's actually a very, very, very smart choice for Star
Yes.
Wars. Star Wars doesn't need blood.
No.
It really doesn't.
Because
Maybe
they're
the
shooting
trickle here or
energy
there.
weapons, the wounds are going to be cauterized immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, Star Wars is really something that should be made for almost all ages. It shouldn't be gatekept by rated R blood or something.
No.
You do get the Yeti covered in blood, but whatever.
Yeah. Grape juice. When they storm in, obviously, everyone fucking scatters, but Han, Leia, Chewie, and C-3PO.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why did they save C-3PO?
Because
not?
he's fucking great, man.
They need C-3PO. Whether people fucking like him or fucking not, they
C-3PO
need
is
him.
whiny
Because
exposition.
he can translate for them.
He's exposition, and you know what? There's one thing I will say with C-3PO. Though he's a fucking annoying character, I get it. He is a perfect pairing with the other non-verbal characters, R2-D2 and Chewbacca, and it happens in this movie for both of them.
Yeah.
Because he gets those characters have important exposition points, and who else is going to say it?
No, that's a good point. God damn it.
But he is. I trust me. I understand. There is a moment. There's a point here I have later on that says, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, there's another one there too. Yeah, I think I know which. Yeah, it's close to that Chewy one. I both love and hate the snowtrooper suits.
For the they're like they're like long.
People loves and hates the storm.
They're kind of like fucking the
ghost.
hijab attached.
Yeah. The snowtrooper white suits that I think this is the only time we see him.
It would make more sense for a planet with sand than it would for a planet with snow.
I mean, on top of that, they give him flamethrowers. It's like, what?
We gotta get blankets here. Now,
stay warm.
Yeah. Now this last one, I'm just being an asshole. I said, how did Vader just let the Millennium Falcon go? We've seen him stop ships before, but that's from the.
That's where power scaling is something different in the new stuff.
When the Falcon attached to the back of the Death Star.
He also stops the ship in the Obi-Wan.
That's So it's hard to criticize a past movie for a future retcon. Yeah. So I'm just being an asshole.
There is a method to Darth Vader's madness.
Is there? Tell it.
Okay.
The method is the madness, and the method are one and the same, and that is getting Luke Skywalker to face.
But he let him go.
It worked, didn't it?
I think there is an argument to be said for is Darth Vader just preparing his son for what's to come by nibbling at his heels every step of the way.
Well, there is one thing about a little bit later on that I never caught before until rewatching a scene with Vader later on. So I was like, ooh.
But anyway.
So the next thing I say, this is the end of this Hoth excursion. They all get off the planet. What's your my favorite ship in Star Wars is the X-Wing. It always has been. What are your favorite ships?
Ooh.
The X-Wings are fucking nice.
I always found them to be the coolest ships. They just reminded me of Top Gun for some reason.
Mm-hmm. But
Sorry, Fox.
I think I like the TIE fighters just a little bit more, actually.
Oh, okay. I would not agree, but it's personal preference. JP, what's your favorite ship? And don't say slave. Actually, Connor's is probably Slave 1.
Why?
I wonder.
What's Boba Fett's ship?
ROH.
Asshole. It is the slave.
I really never thought about it.
Although I was about to say Falcon's up there because it's just such a unique ship.
And it's big enough that you could really travel far in it.
It's also asymmetrical, which fucking my OCD flares up and it can't dry.
It's a plate.
With a little side piece chimney coming out of it.
Yeah. Does have a side
I
piece.
would probably have to say I really don't have a favorite ship. I really don't care about the ships. I'm not one into the ships. I was more into the lightsaber fighting stuff.
I like the entirety of it.
The Naboo space fighter from episode 1 was up there. The yellow.
Those were pretty cool.
Those were pretty cool. I like those because those are unique. Those are very different.
What was that? Who the fuck had that ship? It was in the. It was a bad ship, and I think it might have been. It was in the first series, right? Like the one that it would fold up on itself. You guys remember?
Oh,
no, the Tri-Wing.
That's the Emperor's ship.
The Emperor's ship was cool.
That's pretty cool.
And if you want to talk TIE fighters or TIE wings,
that is just a transport. That's a transport ship.
Vader's is the best.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Vader's was very cool.
The next point I have while this is all happening, I'm like, man, this movie reminds me of. It's just such a cool adventure. There's so much going on.
There's more than one adventure. There's more than one adventure.
That's what you're saying. There's so much going on.
Yeah, this is perfect because you've got multiple storylines that all are interesting from the get-go. You already know where people are going because it's been laid out. He's going to Dagobah system, and they're trying to escape at this point Vader.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about where they're going. It's just I'm like, man, this is like one of those movies that's just gonna be timeless forever. I could watch it every year, and I probably wouldn't get bored of it.
Holds up, still holds up. I put here, Luke. I'm gonna go follow my hallucination. How? And then Heather pointed out something masterfully. How the fuck did he get to the Dagobah system in an X-wing?
It can do hyper travel.
Can do hyper travel.
Can?
Yeah, they can, but you need an absolutely perfect world route to get there.
Maybe he knows. Maybe it's in the system. Maybe R2D2 got it. He knows everything.
You just need the coordinates. That's all you need.
So at this point, the Falcon's being chased by TIE fighters, and there's like a couple of Star Destroyers.
There's a problem with this one.
Oh man! So the Star Destroyers nearly hitting each other or like scraping each other.
Yeah, that was fucking great.
Two big questions two things I have here is here. Number one, how did they not see the other one coming or not take any sort of action? And then I love how they yell,
the size of like a continent.
Take evasive action as they're hitting each other.
Yeah.
The best part is it's just a fender bender. I'm like, both ships should have been fucking destroyed. You'd think too, like
Visually,
they would have.
Fucking
Like,
cool
I
as
mean,
hell.
I know we're talking about a movie like of the past, but this is you're at the point where people could travel through space. They wouldn't have like warning, incoming massive ship.
Fred! Oh fuck! I fell asleep. I'm sorry.
I love how they just grind against each other and everybody does the fucking limbo and falls.
But they yell, "Take evasive action" as they're getting fucking hit. It's like you should have yelled that fucking 20 hours ago.
I know, how fast are these motherfuckers?
They're not. Yeah. Oh my god. I also said, got to give Solo the credit and balls for going through the asteroid field. Super risky, but effective. So
I'm telling you, he is hands down the best character in this movie. For me.
Also, and then why the fuck did the Falcon do a backflip before going into the cave?
Because it has to.
Because the cave was going down, it wasn't going straight forward.
What?
Right, but it went like it did like a loop-de-loop.
What
Instead
are
of
you
just going
talking
down?
about?
Yeah,
When you're hitting the asteroid.
Style points, bitch. He's trying to impress Leia.
apparently.
I don't know. You're reading way too much into shit, Connor.
It's
Yeah,
style
but I
points,
do.
But
Style
you
points.
realize he couldn't just turn straight down. He needed to get altitude first and then come down.
And it was just weird with the. I mean, the music was also just wonderfully colored.
Oh,
It's like,
God,
oh,
yes.
flute.
I will also say, like, after flying through an asteroid field into the biggest asteroid you can find, why wouldn't you do the flip?
Mm.
That's like dropping your balls on someone you just 360 no scoped. It's the flavor
The ultimate
that you need
teabag.
to add.
Man.
That whole asteroid scene, this asteroid scene is a bit funky wonky for me, but kind of makes sense. It doesn't really make sense, but I don't know.
Why does it not make sense?
So like they get into this asteroid, right? And it's revealed that but from my understanding, they're inside this fucking worm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the next question I have is, how the fuck does this thing live on an asteroid in the middle of an asteroid
How do
field?
space whales live?
Ships.
How does it eat?
Why are you
What does
worried
it
about it? Why are you worried about it?
Because it doesn't,
Yeah, JP, you give me shit about reading into things too much.
it doesn't make sense to have this massive creature that I guess it doesn't.
It could be like the asteroids could be a fragment from a planet that was recently destroyed by the Empire, and that worm
be.
thing like just stayed
so-
like sedentary because it couldn't move otherwise. How it could breathe in space, I don't fucking know. Now you got me up the goddamn
Hey,
rabbit
how
hole.
can it breathe? And also, they get out inside of it, and is it like? Does it have? It lives in space, so
How does it
assumingly,
fuck?
they have exposed skin everywhere when they walk out of the fucking Millennium Falcon,
I
Not
hate
everywhere. It's just pieces of their face and the back of their necks.
and hands,
No, they were wearing gloves.
and Han Solo. I can tell you that.
What are you
That's what I
talking
saw first.
I know where you're
You're
going with
in
this.
So how are they not all fucking dead?
You're pissing me off now because now I know what you just did, you son of a bitch. Ah.
It's okay. This movie's made in the 80s, but even then, I think You should know
No,
that.
now I'm
like,
legit mad at you.
you
'cause
only
now
you can't live in space with just an oxygen mask.
God damn it! I hate that you pointed that out to me. God damn it! I'm so mad at you.
Because now the space creature, even if the space creature has oxygen in its body, where's that coming from?
You'll be all right.
It's a silly complaint, but I'm like, wait a second.
Right, so at this point, and meanwhile all this craziness is going on.
Meanwhile,
Luke crashes in the Dagobah system.
Yes.
And meets good old Yoda.
You won't know it's Yoda yet.
so the first half of his time on Dagobah is probably my least favorite part of this movie, and the second half I love.
Yeah.
This little bit of Luke on Dagobah for like 15 minutes before 10 minutes is it's the worst part of the movie.
So I put here a note, like, obviously the more I think about it, I think Yoda has just gone senile and totally insane in a lot of ways.
Okay,
Obviously,
let's keep in mind before you start going off on your stupid tangent.
okay. Just for the record, not all of them are stupid. Just most.
No,
How do they live in space?
we have to remember episode 3 when Yoda said, "I have to go into exile."
Right.
And go crazy at the same time. Peace. I
That's
get
why
what he's
he
doing.
is that's why he is the way he is.
I think he's actually like, this is his first time meeting Luke. I think he knows who he is because he's consulting with Ben Kenobi.
Yeah.
So he knows who he is, and this is like a test of how he would be with that type of character. Like, he's just like, I'm gonna put on a front.
Because he's kind of got to, because he really doesn't. Does he even know that this is Luke?
Well, the only thing he knows from Luke is that his father is a fucking monster. So it's like, I'm
Correct.
gonna show up as a klutz and a fucking weirdo and see if he's like violent towards me for being just like a lovable klutz.
Spot, yeah.
Right. So, I actually liked Yoda at the beginning.
I do too. I just don't like
When he first, I will agree with you. Them getting to the planet. Sure, maybe they could have done the first 10 minutes of him being there and all that other shit.
You know what it
that
is?
happened.
It's the time
They didn't
when
need it.
R2D2 falls in the water and the fucking monster spits him out. It's just like, that's the only part in this movie that feels like you could have actually cut.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
Or like minimized. It didn't need to be cut because it leads to him being like, and even his talk with R2D2, he's like, it feels like a dream. So
So
like, I don't know.
the Yoda, we have to remember, has been in exile for, good God, almost 40 years now, and he's like 1,000 years old now. So
You know
he's
what the
gonna
best
act
part
a
is?
little weird.
He shows up and immediately he tries to steal his food. He tastes this fucking nasty ass looking fucking sausage. And he's like, "That's my food." He takes it away, and then he throws the fucking sausage away. I'm like, "What a
Because
fucking
he
dickhead!"
smelled it. He smelled it. It's like, oh yeah, you're probably right. This is shitty.
What a fucking dickhead! I just give it back to the guy that was tasting it to begin with.
Oh my god. So with Yoda in general, it's there's two ways that I kind of look at it. Like, as it's, because obviously we've watched the prequels at this point, so now we're on to the main stuff. And so there's and also contextualizing when this was made before the ideas of doing the prequels and the lore and stuff. So by itself, it's fine. That's the whole don't judge a book by its cover situation. I found Yoda, I was a little annoyed by him at first, but as things progressed, I liked him more and more and more.
He's
Dare
amazing in
you
this
be
movie.
annoyed by fucking Yoda?
At the very beginning. When he's
How
At the very
how
beginning,
fucking dare you, sir? Anyway, go ahead.
The
wait,
thing is,
if you think
like-
that's bad, wait till you see what it's in a second. But go ahead. Basically.
with
I know where you're going with this.
with Yoda, it eventually it all makes sense why he does what he does. But
Right.
I'm in the same kind of group. Like at first, it's like, especially if you've seen it before, because this is like something. This is the one thing that's not that much fun rewatching, because it's all a ruse, and you know the end game of where they're going with it.
Right.
So
Like,
like,
yeah,
yeah, that's where that whole segment kind of slowed down for me. As a
that's where
first time watcher, I probably wouldn't have complained at all about it. But as
now
someone
that
that's
there's
seen
so
it
much
many
things
times, it's
fleshed
like
out, yeah,
just get to
it's
where I know you're going.
yeah, and that's
It's
kind of
good
like that's kind of where it's like. So here's what I said about this. I said, obviously his introduction is like, don't judge a book by its cover, but this begs a ton of questions. Presumably, Obi-Wan doesn't know if Yoda is alive or not, and told Luke to go on a system that is clearly not that well inhabitable, that he heard Yoda was going to go to at least 19 years ago. On top of that, Yoda's not an idiot. I'm honestly surprised he wanted to stay in such a miserable area for the remainder of his life, or at least the last 20
there's
years.
a reason why he went to Dagobah. And the thing about Dagobah is that there is the dark side is very prominent there. So he went there because he knew Luke was going to come to him at some point to finish his training. If you pay any attention, Obi-Wan, there was a reason why he did what he did in episode 4.
Now,
He
I got a question for you,
sacrificed
Jason.
himself to make Luke stronger. Because they figured out a way that they could still train him as far as
After I'm dead,
A Force Ghost, yeah.
as a Force ghost.
I got a question for you.
Or,
You said Dagobah is there's a lot of like the dark side on
So,
Dagobah because the
very
movie doesn't
prominent.
touch on it, right?
They do.
Movie
Yeah,
doesn't touch on
So
it.
they do, especially when he goes into the cave.
Oh yeah, no, but I guess the movie doesn't outright say Dagobah is like the
and
dark side.
that's
kinda-
kind of, yeah.
But my question to you,
The book
is,
does, though. Just so you
Yeah,
know, the
this-
book does. Go
So
ahead.
my question to you, because I think a lot of people, if they want to nitpick the story, will be like, "Oh, he lands on the planet and he lands right in fucking Yoda's backyard." Is this because Yoda he's part of the light and he can tell?
So
Yes.
Like subconsciously, he can tell kind of where he is because the entire planet might be dark side, but there's that one beacon.
So let's keep in mind that before he landed, he did say there is a life form down there. So he was using that beacon to get as close to that life form as possible.
And that life, you see, this is the problem I had with watching this. The way I
Nobody
watched it.
lives on Dagobah but Yoda. That's
Well,
what they're.
a lot of
That's
animals.
what they're alluding to.
There's a lot of fucking life on there.
At least some sort of fish.
Fish and weird flying big bats.
Oh yeah.
That would be signs of life.
Yeah.
Um,
So I mean, that's my interpretation. Is like he's being guided by the Force, whether he knows it or not. And it's like one of those things that's like, it's people will say it's lazy writing, but it fits the story kind of. So
It
I
does.
don't know if I'd call it that.
I feel like it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's like we want him to get here, and we don't want to fuck around. We don't want him to wander around on a planet for 7 years. Can we just fast track this motherfucker?
I mean but like the other part of it is that like, and maybe I'm definitely reading way too much of this. So Yoda's just gonna chill there for 19 years because he knows that Luke's gonna come find him.
Chilled there for longer than 19 fucking years.
He might not know Luke is going to find him. I think a lot of the things with the Force is not knowing exactly what's going to be happening, but like being kind of directed if you listen.
Like
It's kind of like faith.
A little bit, yeah.
yeah.
But you have to
I don't know.
remember, Obi-Wan told him where he needed to go.
Yes,
Get
because
there,
Obi-Wan
bitch.
took the time to seek Yoda out. And
No.
So I
then
was
went
like,
to Luke.
it's kinda
No,
well, how did he go to
Yoda
Yoda
told
alive?
him where he was going. Yoda told him where he was going in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, 19.
Yeah. He was going there, and I mean, like I think the way I interpret it, he's being drawn to after losing the battle. He's being drawn to a place where he will still be tested in his force,
Correct.
his nature.
Yes.
Because he's going to a place that is predominantly dark
Dagobah
side.
is one of those planets that's very force sensitive, and it has been alluded to that this is where Yoda is from. That would be incorrect.
All right, well, that just leads about half a page worth of notes there. All right, perfect.
I think he just went to a place where he could continue to
He can
practice
continue
his
his
nature.
he
training,
can
yeah.
continue training and actually the thing with
Keep himself
Yoda, the
sharp.
thing with Yoda that everybody has to understand is he is borderline. He could go either fucking way. Yoda is very fucking powerful. Like if Yoda probably could have destroyed Darth Vader on his own, but he
Knew that.
knew that Obi-Wan could not beat the Emperor.
I also feel
Yoda
like
could.
Yoda is he's like a Gandhi.
He
Like
is.
you know, the idea of being like
Asshole
he might
Gandhi.
have the most power, but like his last, very last resort is physically fighting someone.
Correct. And if you
avoid
paid
at all
any attention
times.
to that, that happened in episode 2.
Yeah, he could have killed fucking what's his tits?
Palpatine.
No, not Palpatine. What the fuck's his name?
Dooku?
He's Dooku. He could have killed him, but he was like trying to just stop him. So he handicaps himself in fights because he's like, it's the good that has to be there.
Yeah.
This is why, guys, I'm so fucking pissed off about the Heimerdinger character.
Yes.
Because any character that lives for a very
Heimerdinger
long
from
time, has probably the most important story to tell.
Exactly, and they never want to fucking talk.
Yoda is a character that everybody, and this is from me following Star Wars for as long as I have. People want to know where he's from, why, and I love the fact that they aren't telling everybody.
I wouldn't. It's like the Joker. He's such a good character.
You don't need his backstory.
Some of the best part about his character is not knowing.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to get to. You don't need to tell his story. His story is told in pieces. Like he's in everything up until fucking episode. Well, he's in episode 9.
He's a great there's a phrase for it where it's like, it's almost like a character, a character that's like a good tool for the plot device.
Yeah,
he's a great bridge. He's a great bridge.
It's something along those lines. I don't know if it's a bridge, but it's in the ballpark of it. But yeah, same idea.
He's basically an anomaly of a character in Star Wars because everything else has been fucking documented almost in Star Wars. Like everybody knows all these fucking different races, where they come from, all this other shit. He's the one character and the race. And I'm glad. I hope
they
him
should
and
never
Grogu,
reveal it. Even though they have Grogu, they should never.
They should never reveal it. And honestly, he should be like one of those races that you never really come upon.
Honestly, with Grogu, they revealed way too much already. Because they've revealed that Grogu is 50 years old and he's still a baby.
I forgot about that.
See, I would have preferred that kind of frustrates me. I actually would have preferred if the race comes to maturity at a younger age, and then just stays at that maturity for a very long time. That's the only way that knowledge makes sense.
I agree with you 100%
Because
it would have given
more dynamic.
It would have given you the more. Yoda is so knowledgeable.
Yeah, but if they don't get maturity until 500, then they're no different than mankind.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just a longer lifespan, which is I don't like that idea at all. So
it could
climbed up there and probably touched the window. It's like, oh fuck, it's cold.
We have
the next scene. The next scine is this. I put in a weird note here. It's their everyone's doing some sort of repair to the Millennium Falcon.
Yes.
I mean, which is kind of weird because I know it's like
they're trying to fix the hyperdrive.
Well, like everyone's doing something everywhere. I'm just saying it was a convenient little hey, everyone's got something to do. But anyway, and then Solo and Leia did this little weird flirtation thing, and oh my god,
it wasn't flirting.
Mad rapey vibes on this.
This is where they're starting to tell that story of Leia and Han.
This is where I'm saying if we had the 3 years between, this is the storyline they need to flesh out a bit more. for it to be a bit more, so it wasn't so rapey. I will say, like, it was like the first part of it was like the one where she falls back in the seat on him and he's like, I don't have time to do more or whatever. That was rapey as fuck. But there was a scene later on where they get into a room and she's like, you're a scoundrel and you're this. And at first I'm like, man, he's gonna rape her this room. But like halfway through that sentence, my fucking legs started to open for him. So I don't know. I'm confused.
Listen.
That's quite the confusion.
Let's keep in mind what Star Wars is. It is a space opera. So they've got to have this
space operator.
They've got to have this love story somewhere in there.
It's actually done pretty good.
It's done pretty good.
Anybody here rewatch Rocky? You want to talk about rapey? Holy fucking Christ, man! Andrea, he like locks her in his fucking house. Starts taking off his clothes. It's like super. It's super rapey. Okay. No, that we should do a roundtable of Rocky.
But no. So
well, they're so good. Most of them are really good.
What they're trying to do is fix the hyperdrive. And they can't fix it, so they have to find a place to go to get it fixed. And then they find that they
found Cloud City.
And then he's Lando Calrissian. I know that guy. So that's where they go with that. But what I really do love about this is the training part of the.
Oh yeah, when he starts actually
with
training
Luke and Yoda.
When he reveals who he is properly, it's great.
Yeah.
He just starts fucking. He's like, "Fuck this kid." Turn around and talk to the wall.
I do like when Yoda does. He's not ready. And then you watch episode 3. You're like, you can't back out on this now. Is this where you're going? He's a coward. Kind of vibes, Connor.
What, with him withholding Luke?
No. Saying that he doesn't want to train him.
Who is a coward?
That Luke is a coward.
No.
Yoda's a coward.
No.
So how is Yoda? So explain to me how Yoda is a coward.
No.
So, under the premise, again, of limited knowledge of just the main movies itself, the part that I don't understand is Yoda and Obi-Wan separate the kids at the end of episode 3.
Yeah,
they do that for a reason.
So they know where the kids are. I'm just wondering why Yoda didn't come
tell him
out
outright.
try.
Yeah.
Because he wants Luke to figure it out for himself. They don't want him to know that he is Darth Vader's father.
I think honestly that they at that point in time everything had failed, right? It's over. You're looking at keeping kids alive more than you're looking at keeping the Force alive. Right? And that's where my mind went, where it's like if he went and he trained him, then you have another that person will eventually be able to be recognized by another Force user.
I'm going to tell you this, and this is my thinking. So every Jedi goes through trials. This is one of those trials that Luke had to figure things out for himself. Yoda just telling him is just like, oh, well, okay. So Darth Vader is a bad guy. I need to stop him. I didn't know him really, whatever. So
I don't know, man.
It's a trial. They're trials. Every Jedi has to go through their own trials. This is why
I know
Anakin failed as a Jedi at first, because if you remember when Mace Windu told him, he said, "If you just stay put, you will have my trust." And I can tell you right now, because he decided and just was so
angry
at the Jedi Council for not making him a master, that is what turned Anakin Skywalker. It wasn't the fact that they weren't going to make him a master. It was the fact that he wanted it now because he thinks he deserved it. That is why, and it's a trial that he had to go through.
So I don't, when it comes to Luke and Leia, I don't agree. I think at this point, they had lost so much that if they were, like, I mean, the whole Jedi Council was about training the younglings at a young age, specifically, to learn how to use the Force.
But they
So if
still
they're
have
going
to go
to abandon that.
You can't just become a Jedi.
No, but they were like, we have to train them at a young age. He was very vehemently against training Anakin because he was too old, right?
Agreed.
So him saying, take this kid, let him live with a normal family, was keep the kids alive. The Force can recover maybe over time, but keep the kids alive. We're not going to... His focus was not on training Luke to be a fucking... Jedi. I really don't think. I think it was just I'm gonna go in hiding. I'm gonna fucking exile. Keep those kids alive. And this is why he's so against training him when he comes back, because he's way too old at this point.
Right.
Well, I was gonna say
And I can understand that.
Yeah, I have the note here of Yoda not wanting to train Luke actually makes a ton of sense. He's seen firsthand what happens when someone who shouldn't have been trained ends up getting trained and then literally turns around and kills all the
especially
fucking
after they've learned emotional attachment.
So if we remember, Anakin was younger when they started training, which is I could understand why.
Well, there's also
Yoda...
a prophecy that exists,
right,
for this, like the one in this franchise, right, where they thought it was Anakin, and if it wasn't him, at this point in time, I look at like Yoda. Is that literally he's gonna be like, I'm gonna kill myself soon?
Well, I can honestly tell you. I think that Darth Vader or Anakin was the chosen one. It just took him a while to get there.
Well, he's definitely the only reason why everything happens.
right.
It's just he had to become dark to eventually
Return
to
to
where
the
he was
light
supposed
and
to
make
be.
it right.
So this is why
theory
Revan is such a great story, because it's kind of the same
Arc.
There's a Reddit thread user who actually proved through some actual points that Jar Jar was the chosen one.
Jar Jar
is my chosen one to be fucking shot into the sun.
Not the chosen.
But real quick, a couple things I want to note here. The I'm not afraid you will be still fucking great.
Yeah.
So
I've got a point on that because
that is one of my favorite lines in the movie when he looked at him and he goes, "I'm not afraid. You will be."
It's great because
torn though.
It's the true turn of him from the goofy old uncle
to
the like weirdly Xanax died green.
Yeah.
He's like, he looks at him, he's like, you will be. I'm like, holy
We're not
fuck.
gonna make love. We're not gonna make love. You're gonna get
I thought you were a Muppet, man. Now you're like, I'm deep in my fucking thoughts.
Yeah, that part. It's just that transformation. She's like, okay, yeah, he ain't fucking around no more.
Yoda,
Yes,
this is
pretty.
why I'm saying Yoda is really good. He is one of my favorite characters.
Oh, for sure.
Yoda goes, you got a pretty mouth.
You will be. Now take your clothes off, Luke. It's been 40 years.
But by the way, real quick, another note I wanted to make here. So before this, there was a scene with Vader and the Emperor.
Yes.
And I gotta admit, there's a moment where Vader's talking. So they're still in the asteroid field.
Oh, he comes out of his hatch and you see the back of his head.
That's iconic and very awesome. But I died laughing when Vader's talking to the troops, looking through the asteroid field, and then one just puts his hand up. He's like a hologram. He just puts his hands up, and then the signal cuts off, presuming that he got destroyed. It was kind of, I don't know, just caught me off guard. Interesting to know that when he's talking to Emperor about the son of Skywalker.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this until I really listened to the dialogue. Vader's the one that suggests that he gets turned.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's like he never really becomes fully dark.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can't give it up because it's like there's too much of that there, and I honestly I know it's like corny for his fucking love of Padme. It got kind of weird and obsessive and creepy.
Yeah,
but that was like the only thing that kept him going.
This is where he was like, "Oh, I might have a son.
My son actually lived.
Maybe I
he
can
was told they
turn him, and then we could kill the Emperor, and then we could fucking run this shit like fucking
right." No,
he was told they died, right?
Yes.
He just told his kids died. So
At
this
the
is a
end
guy
of
that
the
like
3.
loses everything, including most of his limbs, and he's burned up. His wife dies, his kids die, and then he learns his kids and then he gets like super drunk for like 40 years. And then he learns his kid's alive, and he's like, you know what? I gotta put the bottle down.
But this is why they kept the kids separate, so that he could not see the connection.
And this is why I don't think they trained either of them, because he could not sense them.
There you go. That's part of it. But when the time was right, and there's that
I think it was
honestly.
I think it's just faith for the Force, because it's like the Force will like light our way when the time is right. The Force will choose to present us with that person, because there's no actual like it's just by happenstance most of the shit fucking happens.
Yes. The part that I was going to try to say was though, ow. Nope, now it's fucking gone. Damn it!
No, you guys like
still trying to figure out where you
after you said
Yoda
the guy put his hands
powered.
up and you knew it was bad, and I talked about his melted head.
Oh no, I was saying is that I knew about the implication of like trying to turn Luke and Vader truly completing his journey. I agree with everything you guys have said. The only thing is I didn't catch this originally was that Vader was the one who initiated the suggestion, because if you really think about it, Emperor Palpatine's like, let's fucking kill this guy. Let's just get him out. He's like, what?
It could be an asset, sir.
Because Darth Vader still doesn't know that. Well, now by this time he does.
I heard he was a cool guy. Okay,
so
this guy
he's already put 2 and 2 together. This is why he wants to find Skywalker, so he can turn his son, so that they can overthrow the Emperor.
And this is why he becomes so obsessed with it, because it's the only thing that has really, outside of just power, it's the only thing that has mattered to him.
The one thing that,
since the beginning.
But we aren't there yet. The one thing we don't know is who is Darth Vader.
Right.
Yeah, we don't get there yet, which is great. The story is just so you can tell somebody fucking wrote a fucking 1,000 million page manuscript on this shit.
Yeah.
It was like, now it's time to make the movie. Instead of let's make a shit movie and someone will make it better by writing a 1,000-page manuscript.
They pieced it's what this is George Lucas telling us a story, and we don't know where it's going, but when we get there, we're gonna be like, you fucking get the fuck out of here. There is no fucking way. And it really, when it happened in the movie theaters, I remember seeing this, I'm like, shut the fuck up.
You know what's crazy, JP? That's I was thinking in my mind, if I watched this when it came out in the theaters, I would have loved to see the reaction of the people that were just going along for there's no internet, right? So you're not having this fucking huge think tank about or else everybody would have known where this movie is going, right? But you don't have that. So then you would have been like, what the fuck?
So because of I think another reason why episode 9.
Everybody worked today. What the fuck?
When we get to episode 9, you'll know they're trying to do the same fucking thing.
Yeah,
they are, but it just doesn't work. I will say, Aru says, Luke, I am your father and mother. That's actually Shmi. Wasn't her name Shmi?
Shmi is Anakin's mother.
And father.
Yes.
Yes. So
the saying is actually wrong.
So if everybody doesn't know, Darth Plagueis knew how to manipulate midichlorians to create life. Hence the story from the Emperor to Anakin, when he turned, the only way to fucking save your Padme is by joining me. So that Darth Plagueis knew how to do that. Darth Plagueis
cool
created
fucking
Anakin
name.
Skywalker. What now?
Darth
Plagueis,
Plagueis.
yes.
Darth
It's
Plagueis.
like one of the fucking sins.
Who
of
was Darth Plagueis was Darth Sidious's master.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He should have said, Luke, I fucked your mother.
But no, the saying is
Um,
not actually Luke, I am your father. It is no, I am your father.
So yeah, that's the thing. People say, Luke, I am father. That's not what he says. He says, no, I am. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. We aren't quite there yet.
So at this point now, now we're seeing the actual training montage of.
I
do hardcore with Yoda on his back.
Yeah, so we're doing that whole thing. We're doing the flippy stuff and the climbing the fucking, which is really good.
Honestly, there's some fucking just truth bombs from Yoda in this.
I was about to say,
anybody that exists on this planet
So
that you should just
I
listen
don't
to.
know if the cave scene is during this time.
It's right. It leads right into it. Yeah.
So let's get to that because that is a key point in the fucking movie. So they take a break and Luke says, I don't know what they're talking about, and
I will take offense to one thing he says.
There's something strange.
Well, he heard something and he
neighborhood.
says, I need to go into this cave or whatever, and Yoda says...
Hold on, before we get to the cave, because the cave is important, but like when he says there is no try, do or do not, that is trying.
Yes.
Right? Do or do not do is trying.
Yeah.
So
fuck
yes.
you, Yoda.
So you can try it, but if you don't succeed, don't quit. That's essentially what he's saying.
There is only trying, is what he should have said.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there is only.
If you don't try,
trying.
you never.
But you do. It's either do or do not. If you don't want to do it, then stop fucking doing it. Just stop doing it.
He says a couple things that are great, where it's like you keep saying that things are impossible, or something like that, where it's like then you'll never even
Nothing
think
is
of actually
impossible.
trying it.
Nothing is.
There's some great nuggets of wisdom from Yoda. Is all I'm going to say. He fucking hammers it out of the park.
Yes.
I just said like the flipping around with Yoda was hilarious. I said Yoda does a masterful interpretation of explaining the light and the dark side of the Force. He does a very like great like almost like jarring crystallization explanation of like the Force in a very short amount of time.
Luke does ask him, is the dark side of the Force stronger than the light side of the Force? And Yoda says no.
Right.
But he doesn't say yes either, which is really good because I don't think either one is stronger than the other.
There's a balance between them.
It's a yin and a yang.
There's one quality though to Basement's point that I disagree with in terms of that I think that is looped in with the dark side with it, which I'm curious if Basement says the same thing, is aggression.
Yes.
Wait, what are you talking about? I'm sorry.
Yoda, when he's explaining things, Luke asks him, "Is the dark side more powerful?" And he says, "No." And he lists qualities about the dark side that fuel it, like fear, anger, and aggression.
So if you listen to what Yoda says, fear leads to anger. Anger leads to aggression. Aggression leads to hate.
I thought he listed them off.
Aggression leads to hate. Hate leads
to
the
dark side. Yeah.
I thought it was fear leads to hate. Hate leads to the dark side.
So yes, but aggression. Jedis are aggressive. Doesn't mean that they're hateful.
Yeah, my thought was, sorry, I thought that he just listed them like fear, anger, aggression. I do remember in earlier movies he'd said that like cause and effect kind of
depends on
which that makes more sense.
I think this
alone.
I think this might be a retcon and a turn of phrase because in the prequels he says he doesn't mention aggression. He says fear leads to hate. Hate leads to the dark side. So I think they just rebrand aggression to hate. That's what I think. Because I don't think aggression is the right term.
Yeah,
because you can be aggressive for something positive.
Correct, and that's the only thing.
Look at Mace Windu.
Really
Mace
fucking
Windu,
nitpicking.
Mace Windu, and Shatterpoint. He is very aggressive.
Yeah.
So at this point, Luke then starts heading towards the cave or with the area, and they put your weapons. You will not need them. Then immediately proceeds to bring them with him.
So he, but again, Luke doesn't understand. He's like, but what if something's there? So he's trying to teach Luke. He's trying to teach Luke that weapons aren't always the answer.
Right. Agreed.
But what I do like is when he gets into the cave and then he comes face to face with Darth Vader, and he starts fighting, and when he cuts his head off, and his head explodes, and he sees himself.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
So
at my age, and I seen this, and I was 9, I think, when I seen this in the theaters, and I'm like, I think I know who his dad is. So again, if you're paying any fucking attention to what's fucking going on,
it's not like they're doing. They're not trying to hide it. They're leading breadcrumbs to what it becomes.
Correct.
And they're doing it intelligently, which is what I like.
This might be, as like on a cinema level, the best scene in this movie.
Yeah,
I agree.
Because, and I've seen people talk about this scene that totally get it wrong. Because before he goes into the cave, he says, "What's in the cave? Or what am I going to encounter?" So is it only what you bring with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And people seem to confuse the fact that he decides to bring his weapons as the things he's bringing with him. But it's not that. It's the emotional baggage. It's what's on your mind and in your heart, right?
Yes.
And most people, I don't know how you can miss that, but I see people that are fucking Star Wars lovers mention the scene and it's like, well, that's because he took it in there that he has to face. No, you don't.
No.
Yeah, he took a lightsaber.
He would have faced Darth. He would have faced that.
I agree
regardless.
with you. Yeah, people are mind-numbingly fucking stupid when it comes to that shit because they think, oh, well, he's taking in the lightsaber, so he's gonna fight a lightsaber.
No,
he's taking in those weapons. He's gonna fight those weapons.
Locked up memory of who his dad is.
If he went
and the
there,
Force all in there with.
I don't think he. Okay, let's put this out there. I don't think Luke knows that Darth Vader is.
Not consciously,
he doesn't.
Subconsciously,
that's the antagonist in his life.
Yes.
Regardless if it's his father or not. The problem is he's dealing, and he's already questioned Yoda about the dark side of the Force. He's dealing with the nature of the Force. That is his
and what's
big
his
problem.
what is his inheritance?
It's like the Bogart in Harry Potter. You see what your kind of fear is, and his fear is the embodiment of the dark side, which he knows to be Darth Vader.
Yes.
And
if he didn't bring his fucking lightsaber, he would have had to fucking probably force fight him.
Right.
All I'm saying is that it would have happened no matter what, and it's genius for them to showcase. It could have been done a bit more a bit better, but this is an older movie.
I think
where the head pops off and then the face pops off.
I do think when Yoda said you don't need those, I think he wanted really what he wanted, and I think he knew that Luke was going to do it anyway, but I think he wanted to try for him to fight what was in front of him with the Force, not with a weapon.
Yeah, he was giving him guidance, is what he was, and the way that Yoda speaks a lot of the times, he speaks around what he's meaning, and at this point, he's just too dumb to get it.
Yes.
But yeah, just like an absolutely great scene from like a movie that if this movie was made today, nothing like that would be in it. I can guarantee you they'd be like, oh, well, dumb explosions, lightsaber fights, it'll be great. They tried to do the same thing in the sequels, and it was just bad.
Yeah.
With Rey going to the fucking thing, and it's like, oh, I see, I have no family.
It's an immensely powerful scene, and especially for given the time in which it was made.
It's way ahead of its time. Or maybe right where its time is, and we've just got dumber.
But like this, like the slow mo effect, and the offbeat music was enough of an effect to make the audience understand. Okay, you're not like doing it's a dream sequence or weird.
Well, that's essentially what it was.
Right. What I'm saying is that the way they portrayed it though in the movie was very
Yes.
unique, and it made it stand out. And so the message was easier to convey and easier to digest. It was very well done. So just again, for its time, especially more than anything else.
I'd have
Absolutely.
to believe this, the way that this was portrayed has been done in movies beforehand, because I don't believe this is the originator of that mirror match type
Probably
thing
not. Yeah.
that exists in cinema since a lot. I don't know. There's been a hell of a lot of movies, and a lot of things have been stolen from movies
Yeah.
from the past. So you looking, and I'm not saying directly go into a cave and fight fucking Darth Vader, but like you end up fighting a version of yourself that has been holding you back,
You're
right?
fighting the demons you don't realize you have.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's been done in other ways, movies before, but I don't know them because I haven't watched a huge amount of fucking
Right.
1950 to 70 movies. But it was great, and it kind of like I remember it happening in this movie, but even on the rewatch, it kind of caught me off guard because I'm like, oh, it's a really fun adventure movie, and I'm like, okay, well that's
It also let it breathe the right amount of time too, where like you took it in, he looked at Yoda, and then it was just like it cuts right next to the next scene with the fucking bounty hunters.
yeah.
So the cave, it does say the cave is another test, one that carries a warning for Luke to control his impulses and anger, or he'll end up like Vader himself.
It's like like the labors from like Greek mythology.
Yes.
Yeah. So now we get to the point where Luke has a vision of Han and Leia in danger and agony. So now you're starting to see the parallels between him and Anakin with So now
Padme. I'm gonna say Padme.
Foretellings.
We could get to Cloud City. We can go back to Cloud City where Han is welcomed by Lando Calrissian. After agreeing to help Han repair his ship, Lando invites him and others to a meal, which is refreshments. Nobody said anything about a fucking meal.
I do like
C-3PO. C-3PO is
I do
distracted.
like Lando as a character, and its introduction is pretty good. Where he's like, "Ah, you fucking," it's that like.
Well, let me finish this and then we'll get into it. C-3PO is distracted from the group when he hears the familiar beeping of an R2 unit. Entering a small room, he suddenly is confronted by an unseen person. Why he's in the room?
While he's in the room.
No, it says why. A laser blast cuts C-3PO down as he babbles to his attackers. Only Chewbacca is suspicious, but arrives on the scene too late to see what happened. So, I do agree with you. Han's entrance into this is Lando's is really
like,
good.
Was it Dyson, you son of a bitch? It's that fucking Predator entrance where they're just muscular arm grabbing.
Yeah.
Where it's like he fakes him out and he's like, "Ah, you son, I love you."
A bitch.
It's also like it's a good introduction. He's a great character. He's already complex from like one. This is what I don't understand why things are so shit now. It was one fucking sentence of dialogue.
Well,
maybe two, where he's like, "Oh, he's a friend." Well, he's not a friend of the Emperor's. Can you trust him? No. That is already a complex character.
Well, and this is where Solo did a really good thing. If the movie Solo, because we were introduced as to why he is a complex character, and if we didn't have that, but without having that, and I do agree with you. This movie does a really good job of that, and Solo, which is actually one of the
better standalone movies.
I don't know. Like, so many people hated that movie. I'm like, it's really not that bad.
I think people hate it because they don't understand.
It shouldn't have been made, but I mean, if you're gonna make something to flesh out a backstory, I'd rather it be Han Solo than Yoda.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And Han Solo, I mean, they didn't really hurt the character. They just showed. I guess they kind of did the parsec or whatever the fucking the run he does.
Yeah.
It kind of fucking lame brain
The Kessel
that.
Run.
The Kessel Run was pretty bad in that movie, but the rest of the movie I didn't mind. Anyways, like, so yeah, the introduction of Lando is cool. They go to Cloud City is fucking cool. as a
Yeah.
setting in general.
There's a ton of stuff we kind of gloss over.
Okay, I know.
Like what?
You take us back because there's a point in time when I finished work where I
I'll
stopped.
try to rapid fire. So we see the bounty hunters all lined up.
Well,
Yeah, I love how most of them look like they're from fucking Timu. I also love the line, "Bounty hunters, we don't need their scum." Yes, sir. And that's weird. Like I don't know.
That's not even the
That
best
person
line
would say
of
yes
that
to
scene.
anything.
No, that's not even the best
Yeah.
line of that scene. The best interaction in that scene is actually Vader telling the bounty hunters, "You will be paid handsomely for whoever finds and brings me the Millennium Falcon." And then one of the admirals walks over and goes, "We found the Falcon, sir."
So and this is why that scene.
Yeah, I know.
So
I
I didn't care.
I love how Han. Eventually, this is where he transports and eventually like flies past the Star Destroyer, then like sticks behind it, like they stick you behind it. So I laugh because like I'm like that's a fucking clever move, and it's shit like that that makes me want to see like a Han Solo like Disney Plus series on these like crazy fucking.
It's not gonna
adventures.
happen.
I know that's what it pisses me off, but I also love it's like
hey, they made another fucking Indiana Jones with him.
So there
Sure.
was a book written about Han
It was
Solo
written.
already.
Okay, I'm just saying as I was
well,
saying.
well, not just a Solo movie, but Han Solo. There's other things. There's other things that have been written
Right,
that are
about
not going to be
Adventures
made into movies.
Right.
Yeah, that's a bummer. But
If you like to read books,
yeah.
Still want
Fucking
the whole
forget
Star
about
Wars
Ansel
canon.
Elgort. Throw Sebastian Stan in there. Get him away from the fucking biopics that man's doing.
But
Oh,
but
God, yes.
I laughed here where it's like, sir, the Millennium Falcon, it's gone. Sir, Vader wants an update. It's like of all the fucking
Yeah.
timing, it's like right one after the other, and I feel so bad for the guy. He's like, I'm just gonna go ahead and just tell them it's my fault. I'll take full responsibility and I will apologize. I'm like,
And then next thing you know, he's on his
dead.
knees.
Just run
choking to death.
away.
He's dead. They cut back to Luke and Yoda training, and this is when he's like having him like floating up. I'm like, man, I kind of wish Yoda fell on his head.
So the do or do not thing with him bringing the X-wing out of the fucking pond. I get it. It is an integral, but we kind of hit on it when we were talking about the do or do not thing.
Yeah. I said great writing scene with Yoda explaining more behind the Force. I also put picks up ship, drops the mic. Then it cuts back to the captain getting choked out, the one who's like, no, I'm sure I'll be fine. And he chokes him out in a public hallway to death. And then they're like, the camera like pans back and he's like in the middle of a hallway and there's people like just around the corner. And he's just dead. He just walks over. Hey, so anyway.
No, he gives the second in command in order to do something, and then he finishes it with Admiral. It's just like instant promotion.
They're going back honestly to the fucking it's the whole Holocaust shit, man, because those people would just be like, oh, it's another Sunday, shoot somebody and walk by.
Yeah.
Yep, again.
Where it was just commonplace.
Yep. So I said Solo, I love the mini backstory of Lando when he's talking about him to Leia. I thought that was very smart, where it's just a couple of lines of, oh, he's a scoundrel, you'll like him. Like, like little character traits that you're learning in just like three. It's very cleverly written. Also, why was the slave one in the trash?
Because he had a feeling that Han was smart enough to do that, so he hid there.
Like,
why was it what? What the what?
The slave one, Boba Fett.
So when the Millennium Falcon detaches, it hides in like the trash chute, and it flies off.
He was in the trail of trash, just floating, waiting for them to detach so that he could get.
Because Boba Fett is fucking smart.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was asking. Like, was it on purpose or?
Yeah, trying to hide his shit.
It was part of his plan.
Boba Fett's not dumb. Boba Fett is essentially. So this is what's really good. This is what's really good about the Clone Wars is Boba Fett is in a couple of those, and he is essentially just like Han Solo. Mm-hmm. So he knows all of his tricks, or he can
figure them out.
He can. Well, if he might try to do this, so I'm gonna be one step ahead. I'm not gonna be dumb. Whatever. That is so.
What happened to him in his own series?
Huh?
What happened to him in his own series? Come with me on all your multicolored rascals, and we'll take on the enemy.
Go Power Ranger. I just thought it was funny. Like, was he fired and thrown out with the trash? It's like, oh wait, there he is. Just flies.
But yeah, so Boba Fett thinks outside the box, just like Han Solo does. Go ahead.
I know plot convenience too. So this part was a little like, and I think I get it later on in another dialogue conversation. But Luke and Yoda are talking about Luke leaving to go and go to.
Well, that's where we are.
Yeah.
That's where we are.
So here's the kicker, and it's just this line of dialogue. I mean, I get it sort of now. They keep saying, Luke, if you go, you will destroy all for which they have fought and suffered. So
what?
Yoda says to Luke, if you leave now and don't finish your training, you will destroy everything your friends have fought and suffered for.
He's right.
Right. So here's why this was a little like a weird sentence for me. They sort of explain it a little bit later on, but essentially Luke is to challenge Vader and destroy Vader or stop him.
Okay, so they did not want him. They wanted him to finish his training
and be at full power.
So here's the trick.
Remember what he did with Anakin? You got to stay back forever. We're gonna hold you back 8 grades until you get it right.
So the thing is if you've ever paid attention to what Yoda says, you have to separate. If you want to become a true powerful Jedi, you have to detach from everything else. Yeah, they have chosen their
matters to you.
Well, that's not true. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Except for what's right.
No. No. Their fate has been chosen. Right? You have to choose what would they do. So I will liken this to when Obi-Wan, remember when Padme fell off the ship in Clone Wars or Attack of the Clones, and Anakin's like, we got to go back and get her, and Obi-Wan says, what do you think Padme would do in this situation? And he says she would want us to continue the fight.
It's being emotionally driven.
That's why Yoda's saying what he's saying.
Being in control of your emotions.
Yes.
So, it's really controlling your emotions is what he's talking about.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
I understand that. Well, my question though is, what is the ultimate goal is to what? Train Luke to become a Jedi to
end the Emperor and Darth Vader.
Just to build on the Jedi. There's no Jedi. He's the only one left.
Right.
Okay, so the way I look at it is I look at it from Yoda's perspective. Yoda, living for forever, but getting to the point where they were training fucking Jedis from children to become this galactic force for the right. And whether that's you want to believe that or not, that's really what their belief was, right? So like when he looks at somebody and he's seen it how many times, probably people going half-cocked onto missions that fail. Then he's like, he was a huge proponent of being like, we will hold you back from giving you huge responsibility until you are mentally ready for it.
Right.
And the only way I can mentally prepare you for it is by staying here. So if you're going to go half-cocked onto this mission because your emotions are telling you to, you will probably fail. And I don't want that since you are potentially part of this like chosen one. It's honestly, it's fucking Arcane again. It's Heimerdinger and Jace and bringing the Arcane when you're not ready.
If you have ever seen, and you haven't, if you go and watch Clone Wars, Yoda never does not finish a mission. He always puts the mission first. Nobody, no matter who.
And he's got no real attachment. First of all, it's great as his character's written because we don't know where he's from. He has no homeworld attachments. He has no fucking attachments to anything. There's no other creature like him that he knows of. So it's like he's perfectly built as a character
there is creatures like him.
I know, but they never share it as like he doesn't have. He's literally the guy that has no attachments at all. He's Robert De Niro from Heat before he meets that girl.
So the thing with Yoda is, but the one time that he didn't, he had to go into exile.
Yeah,
which was
when he allowed his mistake was allowing Anakin to become a Jedi.
Yes,
is what he looks
at. Which he wants to correct that mistake. But he wants to correct that mistake to the... Whether that means turning Anakin back to the good side, because the stories of Revan are there and true. They have made mention of them.
So sorry, I'm still very fucking confused.
Don't be.
So what was the end goal for Luke then?
Luke's end goal was probably to go
against planned.
The... Well, I mean, I don't think there's
Yoda,
actually...
For Yoda, Luke's end goal is to build up the Jedi... Jedi Order again.
Yeah, it might not be having anything to do with Darth Vader or the Empire until, like, fucking thousands of years later. Like, this is what pisses me off with when they introduce Grogu being fucking 50 and being a baby. Like, if you're gonna present somebody as being old as shit, they're gonna think in their lifespan. And if your lifespan is 1,000 years, but you're not an adult until fucking 600 years old, then you're gonna think like a human.
Mm-hmm.
The age doesn't matter. This is why I was like, if he was old, like we are, or like at 50, fucking 25 years old, an adult, and then he just lives forever, the amount of experience you would have to be like, I'm not going to think in what can be accomplished in one lifetime. I'm going to be thinking of what can be accomplished in 10. And rebuilding the Jedi Order, even under secrecy, is probably what we would look at instead of trying to turn a guy that's fucking 30 years old into a Jedi Knight to kill the entire Empire.
So that's kind of where I'm getting at. Is that
Yoda? Honestly, this is, and I agree with Basement. Yoda is thinking. He's not thinking short term. He's thinking long term.
You also have to believe that Yoda is a being that knows that there's life after death.
Yes. Obi-Wan Kenobi is thinking short term
because he's human.
Human.
But like, this is where the whole Grogu thing fucking kills it.
Yeah.
Because unless Grogu is like if Grogu becomes an adult at like 200 years old, I can still buy it.
So I made note here that it said, like, Ben makes the point that this is a crucial time in Luke's training, and then if he goes to help his friends, he'll most likely lose to the dark side. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, like I said, it's just the dialogue of what Yoda said. It just kind of was very.
So it's all about Luke and it's all about Luke and what he chooses.
I will say one thing for this movie, and it's actually a reflection on George Lucas as a whole. The dialogue isn't exactly what human beings would say.
Yeah.
It's like taken directly from a book and you can see it in the prequels, you can see it in the originals. A lot of the dialogue, and they do a kind of good job in the originals, a bit better because I think there's a bit more charisma in some of the people talking. Yes,
there is.
But and in the prequels, you have Ewan McGregor. He does a really great job.
He's about the only one other than Mace Windu.
Yeah. But like, you can tell they're like, this is what's written and this is what you fucking say. Yeah. I don't care if you would say it. So like, you kind of get that like jarringness of what they're saying. Again, I mean,
he said he was going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the thing is, you lack conviction because you're letting your emotions run your life. To Yoda's point, he'd be like, let them die. Your training is more important.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying.
So essentially,
I put notes. Ben holding up his hands as a
Luke,
Jedi.
Luke has made the decision to become a Jedi.
Yeah.
And if you have to read
Just listen to what he says in the cave.
Jedi
Yoda does,
separates. They separate from. This is why Anakin turned. And it was Padme's fault.
It's like the priesthood, man. You got to give up all your fucking. You are not no longer.
You can't have sex. You can't do this. You can't have attachments.
Yeah.
You can't have attachments. It is what it is.
So like anything that would even like, oh, I need to save my friends because and this is the thing is, I think a lot of people think the Jedi are like the fucking be all end all. They're just another entity, right? They're not they fight for good, yes, but they are like super stringent in their beliefs to a fault, I think, and that's why they fail. So it's like Luke realizes that like there may be more value in keeping the people I'm with alive. And I don't think he realizes it, but emotionally that's what he feels.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, that he's right. Because whatever happens would never happen if Leia and Han Solo weren't saved. As well as everybody else. Chewbacca, R2-D2 especially. That motherfucker is like Swiss Army knife of any problem.
Yes, he is.
Right.
And I think that's the core like concept of these movies. It's like being super faithful, but also you have to find the balance between faith and emotion.
Yes, Luke is being a good Samaritan. He's being that friend, but sometimes you have to sacrifice something. And if it has to be that friend to help others,
you would never want to live in a world.
It's for the good of the whole, not just the few. If that makes sense.
You would never want to live in a world the Jedi governed. It would be real bad.
Yep.
It would be robot central, basically. No emotions.
So sterile. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's just like this past election.
But this is kind of what I love about Star Wars, because they present the good and the bad, but the truth is where everybody should remain is in the middle.
Yes.
You can't have the good without the bad, but having the extremes of both are both terrible.
Yes.
Correct.
I put here Chewie rescuing pieces of C-3PO from the smelting fire is hilarious to me. I felt like I was watching an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. There's just something about that scene where he's yelling at them, they're yelling at everyone's yelling languages nobody understands.
By throwing his head around.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I love that. I love how Lando's little trouble with your droid, bitch. He's fucking disintegrated. He's in fucking pieces.
I love how fully Han goes, no, there's no problem.
I wrote literally, bitch is disintegrated.
I do have Leia might be a bit racist. Okay, she fucking hates Lando. He's like, yeah, you can stay here. You can eat and drink my food. And she's like, I don't trust Lando. He's not like us. You fucking bitch. Oh no.
Hey, but at the end, she was right not to trust him right away.
Well, actually, no. She doesn't. It's right down to trust him, but there comes a point where they're trying to escape. I'm kind of fast forwarding, and she's like, "We don't need you." And this fucking guy put everything at risk to go against them.
We get to the point where
Cristiano showed up.
Go ahead.
Well, they put him in what did they do to Han Solo? It's like they're about to put him in a chair with a little spark on it.
They do this whole thing where Lando invites them for refreshments, not a fucking meal, and they go to this where this meal is, and there's Darth Vader and. This was a really cool scene too, because it showed the power of Darth Vader. Han Solo shoots him and he stops it and fucking pulls the gun. It's fucking great. Great.
It is good.
Scene.
But the device you're talking about is one of the torture devices that Vader and the Death Soldiers, I think they're called.
Sure. It's like, it won't hurt him long term. And he was 100% correct, because in the next 10 seconds, he's like, yeah, they did something to me. Let's move on.
I don't feel so well.
I never really pieced together, when I was little watching this, of what Lando, why Lando did what he did. But now I understood, actually, listening and paying attention to the fucking dialogue, is that if I got this right, he's been trying to basically like stay away from Empire control under the Empire, and this is a way to kind of strike a deal where he's like, hey, they're coming. We know Han Solo's coming here. Like, give us him, and we'll let you. We'll back off.
So Lando, of
so I might have
course,
missed
this is where Lando. You see where Lando he's trying to strike a deal to make himself look good.
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to swindle his way out of them, but then it turns out that Vader don't care. He's
right.
He's gonna do whatever he's gonna fucking do. And then Lando finds out that, okay, I need to change the way I think. And this is where Lando then figures out, I need to help these people because what is going on is wrong.
Well, no. So the thing. Okay, so before we get there, how was it? Because I was watching this way it was, and I didn't catch it. How did they know that they were going to Cloud City?
So they didn't really mention that, but what I presume is that
Boba Fett followed them.
Boba Fett either followed and or like tracked them or like figured out that they were going to go that way and cut them off.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. And then he alerted the Empire as like the two
Well,
evils
that was
can work
the
together.
thing.
I get what I want.
Boba Fett would get his reward. That was the thing.
From both the Empire and from Jabba the Hutt.
There you go.
It makes
Boba
perfect
Fett's
sense because you know what?
Huh?
You know what? Great movie, great storytelling in the movie because the very beginning it starts with Han Solo being like, "They're coming after me." I was thinking that I think I would join you, except on the last whatever mission they were on, another bounty hunter showed up or whatever. So it's very clear that he's being hunted.
Yeah.
So it's if that's the case, and it does make perfect sense.
Well,
I just missed it.
Well, no, I was gonna say was Lando talks a lot of like he kind of drops a little bit of exposition right beforehand. And then like Vader shows up, so it kind of like sucks away from like, oh fuck, that I have to process this first, so it's easy to forget the previous line. But from what I understood is that basically, like I said, that Lando Cloud City is not under the Empire control, and so to bring
no, it makes perfect sense.
So the Empire showed up 10 minutes before Han did, and set the stage for everything, and you know that's
so because. Okay, the way I look at it now is because they're hunting him and they know the Han Solo and they know the storyline of what's going on.
Yeah,
they can presume that he's going to one of his connections in the past.
That is closest.
That's in reach.
Yes.
Without being able to travel in fucking hyperspace, this is where they would go. So they go there. They alert the Empire. It all kind of makes sense.
If anything, it just shows how big Boba Fett's dick is.
It's huge. It's fucking monstrous. I will say also that like that scene where they like it's great because Vader makes the deal and then he's like, I've altered the deal. It's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Because he's slapping his big burnt dick on the table.
So Han's torture scene, so yeah, that device is like, are they just like
just confusing?
So he's torturing him to so that Darth
I know, but like it's a chair, and they put his face into it first.
And it's loaded with it's super intense heat lasers and needles and pliers. So
why didn't they use that thing from the sequel that can understand everything about your brain, but it may make you retarded?
1977. So I said
it's like some sort of monster.
I put, I listed as a bunch of needles basically. I have to say though, the scene was extremely effective in making it feel like a heavy scene with Han screaming in the background as the scene continued. And I do love that Vader kind of changes the deal to not only show that they are still the bad guys in a sense, but also giving Lando a true reason to kind of help out Solo.
It's just on a flip side.
It's just great. I'm not going to say great writing, but great crafting of a story.
Yeah.
Molding.
Yeah, it's just like at the point where it's like, what's the motivation this person needs? Here's one sentence, and it's effective as fuck. Okay.
Which why, ladies and gentlemen, when we do other roundtables or reviews, you see why we get so infuriated. You do it in 1977. Why can't you do it in 2024?
I also love the fact that everything kind of, it's like, the way they introduced this whole fucking carbon freezing thing, it's like, Skywalker's on his way here. We need
Got
to
a bunch
freeze
of
him so
questions.
he's going to be safe until we get him to the Emperor.
Yeah, I got
We
a bunch
can't-
of questions on this one.
Right? It's just no. For me, it's so smart because they want to freeze him so that he can't use any of his fucking Force actions. He's just stuck in time, right?
And he can't waste any of their
There's
oxygen
no hope.
either, so they can
We're
travel
gonna-
farther.
The next thing for me is he's like, I want to test it. We'll put Han Solo in it. This is like, there's two things. You could put anybody in it. You could throw a fucking grunt or whatever. He puts Han Solo in it just because he can.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter to him. He doesn't care about Boba Fett. He's like, well, if he dies, we'll pay you off.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, I put in here, Vader's going to freeze Luke, and Han was just a test run. I completely, fucked that up. And what if he dies? Empire will pay you back. We got you covered. The I love you, I know was
great.
was great. Yeah, I said, best romantic dickhead line next to Frankly, My Dear,
I
I
love
Don't Give
the
a Damn.
fact that this guy is like super predatory.
Yeah.
But he's the one that loved her first,
I
right?
put-
You know that.
Yes.
I put Andrew Tate.
All I saw was that like gif of that guy with the big fucking strong chin.
Yeah. Sad.
What a Chad!
Oh my god, it's so fucking true.
It's so
But yeah, I said best romantic dickhead line next to Frankly, My Dear, I Don't Give a Damn. This one I said, Chewie, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, oh yeah. This is like this whole Cloud City is where I started to get fucking annoyed. There was that scene where they were taking down Han, and it was just like they had to cover whatever the actor was saying, so you
Yeah.
get that. I'm like,
Yeah.
just shut I can't hear what the fuck the actual dialogue is, and I don't need to hear you sounding off. It had like 10% too much Chewbacca sound.
Yeah.
I love the carbonite casing. I love the visual of it.
Why does it look better than any of the fucking? Okay, it looks better than the Dwayne Wade statue they made like 3 months ago.
But I have my biggest question is, from a physics standpoint, I have trouble wrapping my head around it. Can someone explain to me how the fuck he's alive?
It
They
puts him
just
into a
said it.
suspe- the
It's fucking sci-fi, baby. How do they live when they go into cryo sleep?
Yes, it's basically the same thing. It puts him into a suspended animation.
So
Does he breathe?
this is
My question is, does he age?
Does he shit?
I don't think they age.
my God, man.
No, you're just
My
stuck in time.
God.
That's it.
Okay, did you not watch Austin Powers?
Going, whoa,
He jumped into a fucking spiral.
Why-
Listen, here's the thing. Here's the thing, man.
On parody, okay.
Now you are really fucking nitpicking right now.
For me,
I'm not complaining.
So
carbon-
cryogenic sleep.
This is not cryogenic sleep. This is
Yeah,
suspended
it is.
animation. No, because I don't think he actually ages or shits.
I'm not complaining, by the way. Like I said, I love the visual.
The
of
only
it.
reason I say that is because they have carbon. They have people suspending carbon animation into sequels, and it's like you are what you are when you're suspended. It's frozen in time.
And it's what Mando does when he gets his bounties in the first season on Mando.
I think they're frozen in time, and they just
Well,
somehow never
that
age.
Could be. That could be. I don't know. I don't know the explanation.
Yeah, it's just morbid curiosity.
It's one thing that I don't know anything about.
What
I
is,
just
what is it,
know
what is
that
it
they
called
did
again?
this.
Carbonate,
Yes.
frozen carbonate.
So carbon is essential to life.
Don't
I'm trying.
don't do the Jeff Goldblum.
Please stop.
thing.
Trying to
I'm gonna
bring
turn
it
into a
down
fucking
farther than it needs to
dumbass. What's his name?
So I also
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I do-
Carbon is essential to life, and women can be men.
My big question was also, what if Han didn't survive? What would have been Vader's plan for Luke?
Just
They would have
put him in a fucking
given him time to recalibrate the thing until it worked, and then next.
It also doesn't make a lot of sense. Just because he survived doesn't mean the next person's gonna survive. It's one of those things where it's like,
The only reason
maybe
that
you'll
they
live.
did stop.
He's gotta go.
The only reason they did what they did to Han was for Boba
Because they
Fett to
could.
prove to Jabba the Hutt that Han is still alive, so that
Yeah.
he could get his reward from.
The only reason they did it to Han Solo is because fucking Darth Vader is just fucking slapping his dick around.
But he did do it to see a test for Luke. So that's where we are. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm all about the lightsaber fights in these movies. Mm-hmm. And this
I'm like I like the storytelling, and if it results in a cool fight, I love that.
All the fighting shit.
Ow.
I'm all about the lightsaber fights because
everybody loves a good lightsaber fight.
And this is probably the second best lightsaber fight.
It is
besides
Duel of Fates.
Yes. So if I was to rank, as of right now, if I was to rank my lightsaber fights, number 6 is Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. Number 5 is number 6, Darth Vader and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I know. Why did you go 6 and not just top 5?
Or 5? Oh, the top 5. Well, that's 5. Number 4 would be probably Yoda and Dooku. 3 is probably shit.
Yeah, see? I'm telling you. Number 1, Duel of Fates. Number 2.
No. Number 1 is number 1 by far, and not even fucking close, is
Obi-Wan
and Anakin Skywalker, and that's not Duel of the Fates.
You know what? Actually, you're right. Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, then Duel of the Fates, then Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in the show.
Yeah.
Not the movie.
Yeah.
That was a good one. You mean the last one?
That was pretty good.
That was actually probably...
Yes.
Honestly, if it wasn't part of a TV show, it probably would have been my number 1 or number 2.
Yeah.
Because not only just like the visual storytelling was great. I love the lighting. I love the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I love
but
the fact
this was a really good lightsaber fight.
For the time, it was 100 times better than the first movie.
First one,
I'll tell you that.
So I put here for that one, I said, when Vader appears to fight Luke, notice how he had the high ground.
Yeah.
The one thing I love about Darth Vader, and it's a great point, is that if he doesn't give a shit about who he's fighting, one-handed, baby.
Yeah.
One-handed for life. And he one-hands Luke the entire time. There's some weird shit that happens in this fight.
Yeah.
That Darth Vader being like, ooh, and he falls back.
Did you also notice when he had the high ground, Vader sits there, looks at him, and goes, "Your master has taught you well."
See, the thing is, Darth Vader doesn't want to kill Luke in this fight.
Right.
No,
and it's very obviously told because once he gets him down in the fucking carbonate hole, he fucking shoots up like a rocket.
I have here I love how he goes, I'm full of surprises, and he immediately loses his lightsaber. Luke's tripping into the hole was funny, but him jumping out was even fucking hilarious.
Him dropping out reminded me of Cloverfield, the movie, when if you rewatch that point, this is when the alien fell down. He just fucking flew up in 2 seconds.
Oh my God.
And then he's holding on to tubes. I'm like, this is a stupid fucking game plan. When he was holding onto the tubes, I thought he was going to climb up instead of doing a weird gymnastic backflip.
I love how he's impressive. Vader's grunts are hilarious. I love how he kicks him off the platforms and then
I blame you because I was watching on your Disney Plus and you had the fucking subtitles on, and the subtitles ooh when he falls down.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great?
I'm like, oh god, he doesn't know where Vader is. Like, how does he not know where Vader is? The man is a ventilator.
Oh man, let me just see here. Also, at this point, they're cutting back to the fight and Leia and Chewie are trying to get out of there. I thought Lando was one of the big guys in charge. No.
He was in
the Cloud City,
but
in Cloud City, yes.
Well, who is the guy with the fucking Dr. Dre Beats by Dr. Dre on his?
I put him in my notes as reverse Jordy LaForge.
Yeah, all I could see was like the biggest headphones in the world, and all he did was look at things. I'm like, who the fuck is this man?
He's the assistant, I think.
So he was in charge of
Knock
Cloud
it
City, but I
off.
think the Empire had taken over Cloud City at this
I
point.
think his name is
Yes.
Siri.
Well, I did
Serious.
like when Lando got on there and said, "Get to all the people in Cloud City, get out of here. The Empire is taking over the city." So
One thing I liked, especially for, and this is what pisses me off with modern age fucking bullshit. I'm the first strong woman in film. There is a moment in this where she needs to be pulled away from combat because
Yeah.
she's shooting at people. I'm like, so you're going to disregard women that came before you? Isn't that like counteractive to what your fucking point is?
Exactly.
I said, all jokes aside, the Luke Vader fight still holds up in both dialogue and action. I think the only real small minor thing is weird to me is Luke, I think, overacted the scene a little bit when like Vader dropped the line. He's like, "No."
well, no.
Well, it was,
so
it was a bit garbage day.
there's again, and I can't remember what the name of the show is, but stop. They talk about that scene. They did not tell him
Yeah, it was omitted from
what
the
was
script.
going to be fucking said.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill did not know that where they were going with this story.
He was on the Graham Norton show.
The
No.
thing is, there's no like.
No.
Honestly, to be honest with you, real reactions to most things that are like crazy do not fit what people would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't react at all. Sometimes you react too much, or sometimes you're no, yeah, and turn into a beaver.
So
Well, look at Viggo Mortensen.
I
during Lord of the
do,
Rings.
and this is
Uh-huh.
one of what we're talking about is during the fight. At this point, Vader gets the upper hand on.
What time of the movie is this? 'Cause you
We're
fucking
we're
know.
at the point where we're
We're at
almost fucking
1
done.
hour and 53 minutes and 23 seconds. Fucking asshole.
I mean, to be honest with you, no, we're probably at like 1 hour and
There's about 15
There's
minutes,
probably
20
about
minutes.
15,
Look it
20
up.
minutes left in the movie.
Yeah.
So Luke is now being battered by things being thrown at him by Darth Vader. Darth
Flies out the
Vader
window.
is now to the point where he is beating him down so that he can get Luke to join him. And
Set
this-
design, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Set design. was
The
fucking
set
amazing.
design.
yes.
When he falls down and he goes into the, I looked at it. I'm like, it's just like fucking like gritted fucking
Yeah.
sheet metal in a circle. But like the lights come on when he walks in. I'm like, oh man, that is fucking cool.
Yeah.
So
Luke
he
falls.
He gets his hand cut off.
You are beaten. It's useless to resist. Luke resumes the fight. Vader suddenly cuts an instrument panel apart. As Luke unwittingly glances at it, Vader slashes off Luke's right hand. So there was one part in it where Luke hit Darth Vader in the shoulder, and Darth Vader loses it. Like, he just fucking goes ape shit. And this is when he does the whole thing, and then Vader gathers his emotions and then cuts off Luke's hand. And
I will say, from like, there's a bunch of shows, video games that people lose hands in. This storytelling beat is fucking incredible
Yes.
because there is an underlying story of man and machine
Yeah.
for Darth Vader and him losing. It's him gaining the knowledge that Darth Vader is his father, losing his hand goes hand in hand with losing part of who he is.
Yeah.
Yep. So
It's the
Yep.
it's the, like the crescendo. It's like the massive dip before.
well,
the,
we
the-
haven't even hit the crescendo yet. We're at the peak, and we're about to take a leap off the mountain.
Mhm.
With Luke cornered and defenseless, Vader informs Luke that he does not yet know the truth about his father. Luke claims that Vader killed, which is
They
great
said in-
Which is
storytelling.
100% true.
He did. But what is great about this is Luke doesn't understand it yet. But Obi-Wan tells him that Vader killed his father.
Which
Luke
is
claims
like, why
that
the
Vader
Obi-Wan
killed him.
show?
Vader answers, "No, I am your father." And then Luke screams in denial, and Vader tries he wants him to join him so that he can defeat the Emperor and take over the galaxy, which is what all Sith want. They want to control everything. They want power. All they care about is power. Kind of sounds like the fucking administration we have now. All these people care about is having power. So
I'm gonna tell you, the Obi-Wan show should have been a movie, because that end fight, he says, "You didn't kill Anakin. I killed Anakin."
Yeah.
And it's perfect for this scene.
Yes.
It's so perfect.
yep.
A great tying the loop together or closing the loop. On
Like
that.
I wasn't like,
I think they did
thought
that
the
on
Obi-Wan
purpose,
show-
though, and I do agree with you. It needs to be a
No, but
movie.
like that was. I think the
Exactly what it
plan
is.
was that all along.
Yeah.
It's like I lost myself to the dark side, because the prequels show that, and that's all written by the same guy, George Lucas. So yes, he's like, I killed your father because I'm not Anakin Skywalker, I'm Darth Vader, right?
Right.
But the I think honestly the Obi-Wan show for me had 2 hours of excellency
Yeah,
and 2 more hours of terribleness.
yeah, I balanced out.
We're pretty much to the end, but there's another layer to this story, and which is really good as far as Luke screams in denial. Vader tries to persuade him, and he goes, "I will never join you. He would rather die." And then he free falls through this, comes out the air vent, lands on an antenna or whatever. By this time, Leia, Lando, and C-3PO and R2-D2
Leaving
and Chewbacca have all gotten away on the
Falcon.
And are leaving.
But where was the Winter Soldier?
Oh my god. And then Luke tries to, he wants to get out of there, so the only way he can is by using his force, by hailing Leia. It's a hope and a prayer, right?
So hold on, real quick beforehand, because I want to talk about that for a second. But beforehand, when Luke lets go to free fall,
yep,
the camera immediately cuts to Vader's emotionless mask, and I could not help myself but just fucking burst out loud laughing. Because it's just like, it's supposed to be like an emotional moment, and like he has no emotion to it.
But it's perfect.
It is. That's why I laughed.
Here's the thing: is it really emotionless? Because he kind of does.
No, it's not. That's why it's funny.
I really wanted him to join me.
Right. That's my point, though, is that he has no expression on his face because you see the mask. But also, did Luke intend to live? Like, I mean, that should have killed him, right? But I'll tell you right now.
The Emperor Palpatine fucking he lives somehow.
I'll tell you right now. The weather vane thing, new phobia unlocked. All right, great. Don't want to fucking. I would fucking have a heart attack, shit myself, like all the.
The whole time I'm thinking, I got one hand hanging on the fucking antenna at the bottom of a ship. I'm like, this is death. There's no option, right?
I would like just let go just out of the sheer panic.
Absolutely genius for them to first. He always reverts to Ben as his like guiding force. Ben help me, Ben's dead, right? And the next choice, like I'm so he I guess he knows at this point Han is in carbonite. He saw him go by. Yeah, he saw him go by in a slab. So I don't know. Maybe he put those two things. Yeah, he did. He
did.
When he first gets on the ship, he sees him go by first. So if he puts two and two together, because I would say he would probably look to him first as like somebody that has helped him out. But if he saw him go by and he recognized him, then him looking for Leia makes sense, and it doesn't spill the beans.
Right.
And it's perfect because who else is going to be able to hear him? Right?
Yeah, and that's what
like who else is going to be able to hear him long? Like from yes, Jedi can manipulate people's minds, but not from like fucking 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 feet apart, or however far they were, right? But he can connect to another Force user or someone Force sensitive.
It's another breadcrumb, yes indeed.
This is what I'm saying. Like the way that this movie is built is perfect because everything makes sense. Yes. And then when you get to like them now, we're in the point where they're gonna lay the sequel out. Yeah, and it's so if I watch this in theaters, I'd be like, "There's no fucking way I'm not seeing part 3 in a theater."
Correct.
Yeah.
Or what you thought was part 3. So on the Millennium, so Leia, Luke,
they also
attempts to reach out to Leia using a Force, which they then pan to her, switch to her in the scene, and she just has this death stare, like she just has this, oh my god, Luke's calling me. I'm like, oh shit, they're brother and sister. Because if they do, when Yoda says,
no, there is another.
There is another. I'm like, oh,
it's
shit,
just like the that I can tell you. Anybody
it's
that was
little
watching...
nuggets that I like. It okay. This could be a thing, which is why there's a lot of people in the Star Wars lore, like when they were coming out with 7, 8, 9, what they were going to do, and people were like using like these little nuggets of things and creating their own, and none of it came true, but you could actually follow a story where that could actually happen. But
this is the genius of these movies, because I can tell you right now, yes, you might have been able to tell that Darth Vader was Luke's father, but one thing you could not tell is that Leia was Luke's sister. There is like they mentioned another, but they've also shown them kiss and shit. So it's like there's you would never
so they
make
do that whole
connection.
Well, she just kissed him in a really weird way. There is no way.
Yeah. You would never make that connection.
No.
I would never, especially in a non-internet world.
Yeah.
Even in an internet world, it'd be tough to make that connection. I can tell you that right now.
Set a little breadcrumbs.
But like the fact that he reached her is one of those things where it's like, in hindsight, it makes perfect fucking sense.
It does.
No,
it does.
During that, like the Force, you're in the second movie of the Force being introduced. You don't know the extent of the Force, right? We know that Darth Vader can pick up fucking Luke Skywalker from star systems away. So you'd think, you know, like you don't know the extent of what the Force can do.
Mm-hmm.
So
it hasn't been established.
So Leia then figures out, we got to go back and get Luke. So they go back and get Luke, and you know all the other things happen. And there's really nothing really.
Darth Vader is like, Luke, join me.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, Father, Ben, why didn't you tell me?
Yep. They do a really good job. And then they get to the final scene, the fugitive and defeated rebel fleet has assembled in a point beyond the galaxy to decide their next move. Aboard a rebel medical frigate, Luke is fitted with an artificial hand as Lando and Chewbacca set out in the Falcon to locate Han Solo. So by this time, you're like, I have got to see the next fucking movie.
It's not only that, like, the movie ended. The movie could have ended when he fucking got picked up by the Falcon.
Uh-huh.
And that would have been it, right? But the fact that they're like, this is where we're going. When you pick up the next movie, it's going to be break Han out of prison.
Yep.
And then there's that big fucking big enemy in Darth Vader that we're going to have to encounter.
Yeah.
And you've already had the big revelation. So how are they going to handle that? Like
So-
the amount of like crumbs that they put in front of you for the
The
next
time
movie
frame,
is
the time frame between this and that, I think is almost. I'm pretty sure there's a little bit of time because Luke is now become.
when he
strong
shows
with
up, he's
Force.
like dark side Luke.
Yeah.
So you have to imagine that he was probably in carbonate. I'm going to assume it was 2 years or a year or something.
Right.
Because
Hold on.
like when the next movie picks up, Luke is changed. He's a different character.
I think it's like
Drastically,
I think it's like 4 years, but
It
it's
could easily be
but they have to.
Oh,
Go
in
ahead.
A few weeks.
a few weeks.
Yeah.
Really.
You know what?
Well,
It makes
let's
sense for
keep in
everybody
mind.
but
Let's keep in
Luke
mind.
Skywalker.
Sorry, hold on.
When I watched the third one, I thought Luke had gone training for a while again.
Roughly a year.
Okay, that makes a bit
That
more
makes
That
sense.
makes a little more
Sorry, I had
sense.
the wrong-
I also feel like Luke in the third movie is the show. What they wanted to do with the character is showcase the dark side that could exist within Luke, like the dichotomy
Yeah.
of the light
Yep.
and the dark. After realizing who his lineage is and how it worked, and you kind of get that in the way that he's portrayed visually and in his writing.
Yep.
But we'll get there.
I said like when earlier when they were trying to escape, and they're like, "Oh, Vader's like, you disabled the hyperdrive, right?" They're like, "Yep, we disabled the hyperdrive." And then R2 fixes it with one click, and then they instantly just take off.
Which
Again-
again, and Basement made mention of it.
Swiss Army knife,
R2D2 is
Yeah.
the Swiss Army knife in this.
No,
fucking
He actually
movie.
might be the most important character in the entire franchise.
And he's been in it from the
So-
start.
Not like for the storyline, but for fucking for everybody that needs help. This guy is. Here I am, beep boop.
I'm not complaining. What I'm laughing at is that like once again they do a thing where it's like Vader goes, "You disabled the hyperdrive."
And
I'm like,
I know
But then-
they have kind of done this, but there was that one where R2D2 did that whole thing with R2. What is R2D2 telling Anakin as he's flying into this fucking shit? He's like, "Why in the fuck we got to do this shit? You know what's gonna fucking happen."
Oh yeah,
So-
yeah.
So
But no, but what happens here is that like Vader's like, "Did you disable the hyperdrive, right?" Yep. And then R2 fixes it with one click, and they take off, and then the camera once again cuts right to Vader's mask, and again, it's like the fucking
God damn it, with no expression.
no music.
So you
The
gotta
best
remember,
part is
R2D2
like-
was Anakin's droid, so he's got that fucking droid. That motherfucking droid ruined my fucking life again.
The one thing that infuriates me, but actually like makes kind of sense, is
Yep.
how incompetent the Empire is.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
like we fucking our whole team went in there and we took down the hyperdrive. And he's like, well, I pressed the button to turn it on.
So when they had the recovery center thing, I had Lando will find Han. Like you know where he is. You just said where he was. Like, oh, from Jabba. Like,
Do you know what
Jabba
I
doesn't
would?
move.
Do you know what I would have liked to have seen when he said, "Yes, we disabled the hyperdrive"? All of a sudden,
They-
and then he turns around, and just force chokes the shit out of that fucking admiral.
I fucking the Curb Your Enthusiasm music popped in my head when I just said. Dun, 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 dun.
All you hear is the choking noise.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
No,
but I also said
the
I like
ending to this just
Yeah.
told you that they were going to do another
Yeah.
one, and you
Yeah,
couldn't.
but like to set up, name me one franchise that is 3 movies long that has the
You need
mid
to calm the
movie
fuck
set
down.
up the next one
Chill out.
any better than this,
Yeah, no.
or even a franchise that's 2 movies long that has the first one set up the second one better than this. It's so.
This
fucking
is the
good.
only sequel.
No, Batman.
To,
Batman
this is
was
the
terrible
only
for the-
sequel to.
Oh,
a
I found
movie
a card
was
that
worth
says
the shit.
Joker.
Yeah, so
That is nowhere close to this.
I didn't say it was better. You just said, oh, all right.
No, I said name one that's better than this.
Oh yeah, then no. God,
What are
no.
you doing?
But what I was gonna say was
back to the toolbar. Thank you.
the
Even Harry
very
Potter, you have Voldemort shooting a fucking lightning bolt in the air. It's not
I said the very ending of this with the healing center and all that stuff was a little drawn out, but then again, it's a somewhat rather pleasant ending considering a lot of shit hit the fan moments just happened a lot earlier. But I also like the setup. Can they get Han back? How will Luke handle his dad? Tune in next week.
Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't do stupid shit like that because then it just becomes a fucking parody.
wait. I did not think the ending was drawn out.
No.
All right, well then I'm just an asshole.
No, I didn't think it was okay. So yes, you know, I think why you might feel that is because most modern day movies don't do that. They think a cliffhanger of like just showing the Joker card is enough. It's not.
No.
Well, to your point,
This builds the story arc for the third movie.
Yeah, I get it now.
Instead of just being like, and you can expect this next movie in a 5-minute segment.
Yeah.
Or like
I'm glad
Marvel
they don't
that was
do
like
I'm glad they
Thor
don't
is gonna
do the end credit bullshit. Or did not.
Thor is going to be part of the Guardians of the Galaxy
I'm
for
talking
2
like
seconds.
I'm talking like minutes. I'm not talking like 20 minutes of the movie getting cut. I'm talking like just like shaving down a few extra minutes that just seemed a little.
I will say one thing they could have shaved down is him being like, Ben, why did you lie to me? 2 seconds later, Ben, why did you lie to me?
Hear me.
No, when he was like in the hospital, when he was in the bed, and he was like, Ben, why did you lie to me? And then he gets up to go to the cockpit.
Well, he didn't.
Ben, why did you lie to me?
He didn't lie. To
No, not lie to me. Why didn't you tell me? Sorry, that's what he said. But he said that twice in like a 10-second time
It cuts to Dagobah.
Well,
and
I don't.
Yoda's
But then again, I don't mind that because it's him trying to figure out why in the fuck would this guy not tell me this?
I don't know if
it's the what's the word I'm looking for?
Wait,
the battle within himself why would he just not tell me?
It cuts to Dagobah and Yoda's just sitting on his chair and Ben's the Jedi ghost pacing back and forth going, fuck, I don't fucking fuck, what do I fucking tell him? I love to tell him.
I love to see Yoda sitting on his chair with his hands like extended on his chair and like it looks like something's masturbating him, but it's the Force.
Come down, you will. Oh, I can't calm down. He fucking figured it out.
His potato sack is going up and down. Come, my will.
Oh god.
But I love this movie. It is my favorite movie of all of them.
It still holds up.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be weird because I don't know. It's the best made movie so far.
Yes.
But like, does it have the best stakes? Arguably, episode 3.
Best what?
Really good, like the stakes, things on the line, right?
Like T-Bone.
It is a middle movie.
Okay, so and again, this is why the genius of the George Lucas, you don't know.
I hate saying that because I think George Lucas is like an idiot savant.
Yeah.
But he was. I think he was a genius in the way he put these movies together.
I think he was I would say he's a genius storyteller. He is not a genius movie maker.
I didn't say that.
I know, I'm not saying.
I'm talking about the way that they put these movies out. They did the right thing by doing 4, 5, and 6, and then doing 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, because 1, 2, and 3, there's a lot of like. We're talking about taxation in the fucking trade system.
Interpretation.
We're talking about 4, 5, and 6.
He put the best 3 out first, which makes sense.
Yeah.
He did, and he put out 5, so there's like everybody's at some point is gonna be like, I want to know how Darth Vader became a Sith Lord.
Yes.
That is essentially.
it
I
100%
think
makes
that's
sense
why
for
he
him
did
to-
it. He may not have thought of that right away, but I can tell you, as soon as he was done making this movie, he's like, you know, fucking what? We're gonna make 6, and then we're gonna wait.
From a storytelling standpoint, this trilogy is way more suited for the big screen. If you're going to adapt it than the first 3. Though I don't hate the prequels, the first one suffers a bit from its subject matter. The second one, I think, suffers the most, and the third one is really good.
Yeah.
But these are all knocking it out of the park, and they can be told in like that bubble of 3 at a time.
Yes.
I don't think the sequel. I don't even acknowledge the sequels, to be honest. But
well, I do, and I don't hate them, but I'm not gonna say that
I don't like
disagree with you.
79.
I don't think what.
What? You're talking
Yes,
the sequels of Star Wars?
Yeah. So, what else? What the fuck?
What?
All I heard was
The ones that
79.
come after this.
No, I said
7, 8, and 9.
7, 8, and 9.
Yeah, we're talking about 7, 8, and 9.
Yeah.
I think they are by far the worst
Well, of course,
Star Wars
I
films
think
made.
they are too.
That's why the
But I
prequels
think-
get love again, baby.
Yeah, well, that's the prequels are elevated for the fucking fact that these ones are that bad. This is a problem. I really wish that Disney did not own Lucasfilms. And this is a Disney problem as a whole.
Yep.
Disney has been shitting fucking diarrhea for a while.
Put a chick in it. Make her
So
gay. Make it lame.
I just don't trust them to handle something that I actually like.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And some people might love it. But for this film, okay, I don't know. Do you guys remember what you gave the first one?
Nope.
I want to say I gave the first one like an 8 out of 10.
I think it was in the same boat. I think I gave
Episode
it
4, you gave episode 4 an 8 out of 10.
I don't know. It might have 8. It probably
think
was
you
an
gave
8 or
it
an
like a
8.5.
I don't. I'm giving
I think
this
we were
one.
all close around
I can
7.5.
honestly tell you I gave episode 4 an 8, if I remember correctly. If I did not, but I can honestly tell you that this is the best one. This for me is 8.75 or 9.
I'm going 9 on this bad boy.
This
9 too.
is my favorite movie of all
Yep.
time
It is not my favorite movie.
for me.
The only thing that holds it back is, I think, the difference
I
between
can't say that.
you must deliver this script versus what would essentially be said as casual line delivery.
I am a liar. I am a liar. Platoon is my favorite movie of all time. I apologize. Go ahead.
My favorite movie of all time is Jurassic Park, and this movie is better than that.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter. Like, favorite movie for me is it's your experience when you first watched it.
No,
and what you
this
take away.
this is like one of this again. I seen Star Wars in the movie theater, but again, I was only like 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
When I seen this movie in the movie theater, I was hooked, line, and fucking sinkered into fucking Star Wars.
I just appreciate how well constructed this movie is.
And
I don't
it's
know.
it built it.
I'm
If you
very,
look
like,
at
outside of Jurassic Park,
if
I
you
don't
look
know
at it,
what
it's
else.
world building.
Yeah, well, the thing is, okay, like this is why I say it, like, this is a better movie than Jurassic Park, but like as structure goes, I can't. There's very few movies I've seen that are structured better where you can watch it. It's 2 hours plus, and you're like, I'm surprised there's not more.
Yeah.
But I love this. I love this movie. I actually love the expanded universe more than I do the canon, personally.
You know what? I was looking at some of the Star Wars books before we even watched this. I'm like, I'm kind of interested to read a couple of them. And then I looked at
I
like
wanna
where you
read them
could
too.
start. And I'm like, should I go audiobook or reading?
Are you
prefer
talking?
reading
Are you talking canon or expanded universe?
all of it.
So, expanded universe, I think, tells a better story than canon does.
The thing is, if you read the expanded universe, I think you'll only get more angry at canon.
Yes.
Then you will. You will. You will. It's told better. Kathleen Kennedy is the problem. She decided to fucking do fucking
women power.
The Force
women in
is
front.
female.
yeah, and I know that's
The
fine.
Force is female is fucking stupid. If somebody came out and said the Force is male, everybody would be
The funny
upset.
thing
So
about
that's the
this
same
whole
fucking thing.
fucking thing is
The Force
that
is for everyone.
if she really would have paid any fucking attention to the fucking expanded universe, how Leia isn't even close to the strongest character. Fucking Han and Leia's daughter, Jaina Skywalker Solo. Jesus fucking Christ. Her story is, I'm telling you, they fucked up by giving Kathleen Kennedy the fucking keys to the car. I'm sorry.
I just feel like when you exclude half of, in Star Wars, probably 80% of the people that watch it, or 75%, because you're going to fucking virtue signal to fucking females, it makes no sense. Why? It's just like, you know what? I decided to shoot myself in the head today.
Yeah.
Well, good job, you dumb bitch. Like, why would you exclude half your audience for no reason, just to make divisive statements that are fucking stupid?
Yep.
The Force can be female. It can be male. It can be some sort of species that is a hermaphrodite. Who gives a shit? It's for everybody everywhere.
Exactly.
And I
And
know
this is the moment where they could have gone with the Force is gender fluid, and I would have been perfectly fine with it.
Oh, of course.
I wouldn't have been. Just don't say gender fluid is the worst.
Well, no,
fucking term.
I think she's just saying in general.
I know what you're saying, but like, they said that, everybody
so
would hate it.
I really feel bad for Daisy Ridley and how they shit on her.
I don't.
I do.
she's
When they told
I don't
when
feel
they
bad
said,
for her. She got fucking millions of dollars.
No, but when they said that they were going to do a movie and she was going to be the lead in one of the movies that was coming out and people booed, they're fucking idiots.
They are.
I have nothing against Daisy Ridley. I actually
No!
think she portrayed
I'm
Rey
not-
very
I'm
well.
not.
I don't have anything against any of the actors, to be honest.
No.
I have I don't like what they did with the story. I don't like the fact that they didn't go with the rule that already existed.
Yeah.
You have 3 main characters and 3 main storylines. You live with it. It's happened in the prequels. It happened in the fucking originals. You have Han, Leia, and Luke. In the prequels, you have Anakin, Obi-Wan, and you have Padme.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in this, you started off with Rey,
Finn and Pedro.
Finn, and no, not Pedro. His
No, the
name
guy
was
the actor who plays that character's name is
was-
Pedro.
no, his name is Isaac Hayes.
Isaac, there we
No,
go.
is it his Isaac Hayes?
No.
Isaac something.
Ray
That-
Finn,
Oscar
It's-
Isaacs.
Ray
Oscar
Finn
Isaacs, yeah, there you
and Poe.
But Poe Dameron. That's his
That's
name.
it.
But they just quickly abandoned that, and all of a sudden introduced a main character called Rose. Terrible.
They
Poe
tried
Dameron went to the side. Finn died. Nobody cared about any of them.
right. So the thing is that they tried getting all 3 of them together, and then in the second one, they all went on a different adventure.
They all went separate ways, and they
Which
brought in
was-
Kylo Ren.
The second movie is an atrocity.
It is such a mess.
It was a
It's
mess.
like the cinema equivalent to Auschwitz.
Yeah.
Well, that's an unfortunate comparison, but no,
It's-
I give
like,
this
for
a-
Star
I give
Wars
this-
cinema
I
equivalents,
give
it's
this-
so bad.
I give this a 9. This is
Yeah.
by far
It's a very rare 9 because
Very
anything
rare.
that you might say that's bad about it
Is a
is
nitpick.
It's
Connor.
like,
Yes.
well, I mean, we all
No,
nitpick.
the nitpick.
I nitpick too because it's fun.
I still love this movie. It's still my favorite Star Wars.
No,
Yeah.
I get it.
Also 1977 writing, so
It is better than any. It is better than any Marvel movie ever made. It is better than any Marvel movie ever made.
Mhm.
Okay, so the big difference for me is that Marvel relies on nostalgia of their characters.
Yes.
This at this point in this movie, that really didn't exist.
Not yet, no.
Correct.
The second, not the 20th. And I would say for me, Infinity War and Endgame, they're very close. I think I gave Infinity War like an 8.8 or something. It was high. It was up there. It's as close as I got to this movie, probably, for the things we rated. I would not rate it higher because it had so much more built into it. Yeah. And again, Infinity War is a movie that should not have worked. It's a weird movie.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But it was so good. They're close. They're very close. But this is a much more concise script. Everything's easy to follow. It doesn't go all over the place. It doesn't require $1 bajillion to make.
No, because they did everything in mini scale and had little fireworks for all the explosions.
Winter Soldier is
I think
not
the remake
I don't
cost
think
almost 4 times as much. I think the remake to this, the digital remastering, costs almost 4 times as much as making this movie originally.
I think Winter Soldier is like a high 7. I don't know what I rated it. It might be an 8. But it's not. No, it's not in the same conversation. Of the movies we've done the roundtable for, I'd say for me this and Infinity War, and
Endgame,
and Endgame, and half of Episode 3.
Which half?
The last half.
Yeah, the very last.
Once he starts killing kids, I'm like, yeah, I'm here for this movie.
All right. 9 to a 10.
What are you giving it, Connor?
9.
You gave it a 9? Okay.
9. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good. Heather?
It merits it. It still holds up. The pacing, the acting, the action, everything. It's very like the nitpicks are very, very minuscule, and I'm just being a wise ass half the time. So
got it.
It's still very, very good.
Where's the fucking Jurassic Park remake? They haven't remade that properly.
Oh, they tried to with Chris Pratt.
All they really need to fix is any of the full-on CGI dinosaurs.
Oh god,
That's it. The Brontosaurus at the beginning is a bit like.
Yeah, the one that comes into the side of the building. For them, that comes up to the tree for them to pet. Yeah, that was.
Hey, that I'm okay with.
That was probably the best view of a dinosaur in that whole movie.
No, the T-Rex is the best.
Yeah.
Which one? Which version of it though? The one where he kills the bathroom.
The entire T-Rex segment at the beginning when they attack the kids.
I was gonna say because it's the one where he's attacking the Velociraptors.
Ah, yeah.
In the fucking lobby. No.
Yeah, that was the CGI.
But I think is that it for this one?
That's it for this one. Great movie. We will finish off with the third one, and then my God, we're not doing any of the shows, right? We're just doing the sequels.
No, we're just doing the movies.
All right.
Yeah.
I still have to watch Ahsoka and
you might really like Ahsoka.
Ahsoka's not too bad. So that's a Dave Filoni thing. He said, "You will not fucking ruin this for me."
Right.
Because it is his character. And George Lucas actually told Kathleen Kennedy, "You may be the executive producer, but you will not fuck with this movie or show." So I enjoyed it.
I did too, honestly.
All right.
I wasn't too sure about Rosario Dawson.
She did
playing her, but she actually did
I
really,
feel like
really
she's
good.
the perfect casting, though. When she was in The Mandalorian, they needed to do a stunt double for her action scenes.
Yeah,
she is not.
So when the girl that voiced Ahsoka, she can actually do physical. She's actually
trained in that.
An acrobat. Kind of, she's a stunt woman.
Fuck her, she wasn't in it.
But when she said she is Ahsoka in real life, I'm like, okay.
It's the perfect look, honestly.
It is.
And Rosario Dawson has been like 35 years old forever.
Right.
Yeah, she is.
Somehow.
She is.
All right. So with that being said, we're gonna get out of here. We will be back tomorrow with HGGM mode. And then on Sunday with No Bucks Given. Y'all have a good night, and we'll see you soon.
Peace out. Watch this movie again.
Yes.